In the core mine zone, she realized both sides were from third-tier clans. She wondered if he came to avenge the Huang family and questioned who the puppet he mentioned really was. Suddenly, Master Ning rushed forward. The attackers begged him to release Miss Yi, insisting she had already gathered enough earth cores and would hand them over. Miss Yi struggled in the puppet's grip, pained but still conscious. Lying on the ground, she weakly asked if what they wanted were the earth cores. The boy mocked her, saying the tribute once owed by the Huang family now fell on the Yi family. He claimed working for the Ning family was a chance for them to rise into the third-tier clans, calling it something worth celebrating. His followers urged Miss Yi to accept. Miss Yi cursed her bad timing, realizing her strength had been drained after days in the earth core cave. The boy's expression turned sinister as he demanded all the earth cores. He warned her to become obedient under the Huang family's name or face the Ning family's power, which could erase the Yi family from the Western Territory with a single command. One of the men begged Miss Yi not to act rashly and to accept the demand. But she pushed herself up, furious, and shouted that the brat should keep dreaming. Refusing to submit, she declared the Yi family's possessions would never belong to them. With defiance burning in her eyes, she launched an attack against the puppet holding her down, shaking the ground as the fight erupted. Master Ning's expression darkened as one of the men begged him to calm down and give them another chance. He asked if they were rejecting him, warning that he did not take kindly to defiance. Miss Yi groaned, still restrained by the puppet, while the man pleaded to be allowed to reason with her again. Ning's eyes turned cold. Deciding there was no point in more words, he declared her fate sealed. With a chilling glare, he ordered her death as the puppet raised its massive arm to strike. The puppet's massive fist slammed down with a thunderous impact, sending shockwaves through the ground. One of the men screamed in terror for Miss Yi. With a twisted grin, the boy rang a bell and ordered his ghost general to charge in and crush her completely. The giant puppet moved forward with unstoppable force, tearing through the earth as it advanced. The impact shook the battlefield, and Miss Yi cursed under her breath. A protective flame mark activated around her, each layer absorbing part of the puppet's devastating strikes. She shouted at her enemy, recognizing him and accusing him of being no different from the Huang family, always bullying others too much. Layer after layer of her flame mark shattered under the relentless assault, leaving her defenses dwindling. The boy only laughed, ringing his bell with a cruel grin. He mocked her nobility and declared he had been far too lenient with her. The boy sneered, finding Miss Yi's resistance amusing, and ordered the ghost general to toy with her further. Her protective flame mark flickered, leaving only one layer between her and defeat. With a chilling tone, he commanded the puppet to break her legs first. Miss Yi's eyes widened in fear as the massive fist came crashing down. But before the blow could land, a sudden figure burst in, striking the puppet with overwhelming force. Shock filled the air as everyone realized someone else had entered the battle. The boy froze, demanding to know who the newcomer was. A young man with fiery wings and a blazing weapon appeared, stepping confidently in front of Miss Yi. He reassured her that she was safe now. Relieved, Miss Yi admitted she was embarrassed to be seen at her weakest again. She thanked him for arriving just in time, knowing she would have been in real danger otherwise. The young man replied that he didn't know all the details, but after witnessing what had just been done to her, he couldn't stand by. He told her to rest while he dealt with the arrogant enemy himself. Sometime earlier, in the Yi family garden of the Western Territory, a servant rushed in, panicked, shouting that Miss Yi was in danger. When asked what had happened, she explained that Miss Yi had ordered her to watch Huang Yingheng, but the Ning family appeared, threatening them for tribute. They took Huang Yingheng and went straight to the mines in search of Miss Yi. Begging desperately, she pleaded for help. Mr. Liu reassured her, telling her not to worry as he understood the situation and would take action. Back in the Yi family garden, Liu had vowed to save Miss Yi immediately. Returning to the present at the mine zone, Miss Yi weakly smiled, realizing why he had arrived just in time. Coughing and exhausted, she admitted the boy had ambushed her after she had run out of strength and nearly cost her life. Lu reassured her, telling her to let Xiao Fei heal her wounds. With his companion's power glowing brightly, he promised that once she recovered, he would personally deal with their enemy. Xiao Fei's healing light surrounded Miss Yi, restoring her strength. She warned Lu Fan to be careful as the enemy's puppet loomed ahead. The boy smirked, pointing out that the massive figure was his puppet, no different from the fallen corpse puppet Lu Fan had defeated before. He accused Lu Fan of ambushing him and injuring his puppet, warning that he clearly didn't understand the consequences of provoking him. Realizing who stood before him, the boy sneered, calling Lu Fan the Dragon Tamer. With a twisted grin, he prepared to retaliate. Lu Fan's aura surged as dragon energy burst forth. His power flared, revealing the black dragon Roman II form, shaking the battlefield. Lu Fan's aura flared like a blazing inferno, his weapon engulfed in dragon flames. His eyes locked on the enemy with unshakable resolve. He growled with intensity, questioning if the boy truly understood what would happen when someone dared to hurt her. The battlefield trembled under the force of his fury, signaling that the real fight was about to begin. Lu Fan's aura flared like a blazing inferno, his weapon engulfed in dragon flames. His eyes locked on the enemy with unshakable resolve. He growled with intensity, questioning if the boy truly understood what would happen when someone dared to hurt her. The battlefield trembled under the force of his fury, signaling that the real fight was about to begin. The puppet's strike suddenly halted as a golden dragon claw burst forth, gripping it tightly. Shock spread across the enemy's face as Lu Fan's body glowed with overwhelming power. With Xiao Fei's possession, Lu Fan transformed into the Golden Dragon King, his form radiating immense strength and majesty. The battlefield shook under his new presence. The boy's eyes widened in disbelief. He muttered in shock, realizing this wasn't how a dragon tamer was supposed to fight. Seeing Lu Fan embody the dragon itself shattered his expectations. Lu Fan roared with power, declaring that the puppet's end had come. Xiao Fei let out a fierce cry as her power surged, fusing with Lu Fan's transformation. Together they unleashed Emerald Dragon Form Roman II, activating the Radiant Soul Light. A massive golden dragon wrapped in emerald energy roared forward, its presence overwhelming. The Soul Sanctuary buff spread, boosting allies' strength and resilience while shielding them with layers of energy. The enemy's puppet collapsed under the sheer force, leaving its master shouting desperately for it to rise again. Staring in shock, the boy realized a single strike had defeated Zhuang Meng at level 100. He questioned in disbelief if transforming into a dragon was the true way a dragon tamer fought. Lu Fan's voice thundered across the battlefield, mocking his enemy for daring to shout about crushing him and turning him into a puppet. Golden flames surged as he activated dragon language replication, copying his dragon's magic and unleashing a devastating lava burst. A blazing sphere of molten energy formed, its power scaling with his strength, ready to consume everything. The fiery explosion ignited the battlefield, creating a magma pool that threatened to drag enemies down and deal relentless damage. Instead of fear, the boy's eyes lit up with excitement. Laughing maniacally, he rang his bell, declaring that this was far too fun and interesting to stop. The boy desperately commanded his ghost general to rise, but the puppet was engulfed in a fiery explosion, letting out a painful roar as it struggled under the overwhelming force. From within the flames, a golden dragon's mighty form emerged, leaving the enemy stunned. He could only stare in disbelief at Lu Fan's transformation. Yet instead of fear, the boy smirked with a twisted grin. He mocked Lu Fan, saying it didn't matter if he had transformed into a dragon, he still wasn't impressed. Ning too boasted that his puppet would never allow Lu Fan to touch him. The towering ghost general, now in its second phase, roared with red energy coursing through its body. But Lu Fan's dragon form answered with overwhelming force, roaring enough noise as his golden aura clashed against the puppet's corrupted power. The ghost general reeled under the assault, cracks spreading across its body. With the emerald dragon bloodlines boost, Lu Fan's strength and protection soared, his strikes doubling in intensity. The battlefield trembled as the golden dragons might press down, leaving Ning Tu and his puppets struggling to withstand the crushing power. The boy laughed arrogantly, claiming that Lu Fan couldn't hurt him. But the golden dragon's eyes burned with fury. "Oh, is that so?" Lu Fan's voice rumbled as golden flames surged around his massive form. With a deafening roar, he unleashed his ultimate move, Judgment Claw. His twin claws ignited with blazing light, converting stamina into overwhelming strength. The dragon's claws struck down with unstoppable force, tearing through everything in their path, each blow carrying devastating power. Lu Fan's golden claws slammed into the ghost general, sending cracks spreading across its massive body as it let out a pained roar. The boy's eyes widened in shock, his confidence faltering for the first time. But before he could react, Lu Fan's dragon form loomed over him, declaring coldly, "Your turn." Terrified, the boy quickly rang his bell, summoning another puppet to shield him. The battlefield shook once again as his desperation grew against Lu Fan's overwhelming power. The golden dragon's judgment claw struck again, slamming into the ghost general and sending shockwaves across the battlefield. Cracks spread deeper into its massive body, yet the puppet still clung to life. The boy only laughed hysterically, mocking Lu Fan as he claimed it was hilarious watching him struggle without being able to finish the fight. Lu Fan, in his dragon form, remained silent. His blazing golden eyes locked onto the boy, his expression unreadable as power continued to surge around him. The boy smirked, praising Lu Fan for still having spirit left. Then, with twisted excitement, he promised to show something even more entertaining. Clenching his hand, he revealed the true power of his ghost general, boasting that it was a level 100 puppet. In an instant, the massive figure roared, its form surging with strength as cracks of energy burst from its body. The ground shook violently as the upgraded puppet struck forward with overwhelming force. The boy spread his arms wide, grinning with madness as he revealed his trump card. He shouted that his ghost general had finally reached its level 100 ultimate skill. With a deafening roar, the puppet's body ignited in a surge of divine energy, its form twisting and expanding under the overwhelming power. The system revealed its terrifying evolution. Shuang Meng Level 100, Mountain Breaker Roman 4, Ghost General Phase 3. It now possessed the mountain god's might. Its strength and stamina increased by an incredible 300%. The battlefield trembled under its monstrous aura as the boy laughed in triumph. At the core mine zone, the boy's laughter echoed as he flaunted his ghost general's new power. With the mountain god's buff tripling its stats, he claimed this was strength even level 100 elites would fear. Not stopping there, he revealed another of his ultimate techniques. Golden nails pierced into the ghost general, each one amplifying its attack power to terrifying heights. The boy roared for his puppet to unleash its full strength. The massive figure trembled with destructive energy, its aura surging as the ground split beneath it. From atop his puppet, the boy taunted Lu Fan, boasting that he now faced an opponent whose power had been multiplied tenfold, calling it an honor. The golden dragon's eyes narrowed in silence, facing the overwhelming might of the ghost general. The boy, drunk on power, mocked him, boasting that with 10 times the stats, he could defeat even 3 level 100 elites at once. He sneered that being a dragon changed nothing, declaring that Lu Fan still had no chance of victory. Standing tall beside his empowered puppet, he laughed arrogantly and asked if Lu Fan was ready to surrender. The massive ghost general loomed menacingly, radiating flames of destructive power, yet Lu Fan remained calm, unfazed by the taunt. Lu Fan looked at the empowered puppet and mocked its strength, calling it a shame. The boy frowned in confusion, demanding what he meant. Calmly, Lu Fan explained that even if the puppet's power were multiplied 100 times, it would still be nothing but garbage. His aura surged, confidence radiating from him. Inwardly, he analyzed the situation. Zhuang Meng had nothing but brute force, while Ning Tu only provided control. Seeing through their limits, Lu Fan smirked and declared that they would soon become part of his puppet army. The silver-haired boy sneered, calling Lu Fan arrogant, and waited to see what kind of dragon he would summon. With calm confidence, Lu Fan called out, and a small green dragon spirit, Jai, appeared at his side. Its energy pulsed brightly, catching everyone's attention. The Ghost General reacted immediately, its massive form sensing the dragon's aura as Jai bravely cried out in defiance. Lu Fan smirked, his voice steady as he laughed, while Jai's power surged forward, wrapping around him like a shield of emerald light. The silver-haired boy burst into mocking laughter, ridiculing Lu Fan for summoning what he called a snot-dripping worm and questioning if that was his so-called mighty dragon. Unfazed, Lu Fan gently picked up Xiao Jai, reminding him of the powerful enemies he had already defeated, from the 10,000 Venom Devil King to the Dragon-Devouring Dragon King. He asked if Xiao Jai was really afraid of a mere brute and his master. Xiao Jai's eyes lit up with determination as he cried out, declaring he wasn't scared and that he would fight. Lu Fan encouraged Xiao Jai, telling him to show everyone his strength. Xiao Jai's determined cry rang out, but the silver-haired boy scoffed, mocking the idea that such a small creature could ever defeat his level 100 puppet. With a calm smile, Lu Fan replied that he never said he had only one companion. Power surged around him as he raised his hand, calling out another name. From the sky, Xiao Fei descended in a radiant glow, and Lu Fan commanded the battlefield, summoning the mighty Shadow Dragon King alongside Xiao Jai. The Shadow Dragon King emerged with a powerful roar, its dark aura overwhelming the battlefield. The sheer presence of the beast left everyone stunned, especially the silver-haired boy. His expression hardened as he realized the dragon carried pure killing intent. He thought quickly, questioning what kind of skills such a terrifying dragon might possess. Deciding he couldn't afford to wait, he immediately activated one of his strongest defenses. A golden bell appeared above him, radiating a solid protective barrier. The shield not only reduced incoming damage, but also reflected any attacks that dared to touch it. The silver-haired boy ordered his ghost general to tear the enemy apart. The massive puppet charged forward with terrifying force, shaking the ground with every step. Its colossal fist came crashing down toward the black-haired fighter. Yet, the young man stood calm and unshaken, facing the attack head-on. Just as the ghost general struck, a toxic aura began to spread across the battlefield. The puppet's body released a sinister green glow poison dragon, I-form switch, underworld swamp. The ground transformed into a poisonous swamp, radiating deadly energy that spread quickly. This ability, known as the Surging Poison Sea, created an underworld swamp that continuously dealt poison-based damage to all enemies caught within. To make matters worse, the poison stacked at double the normal rate, threatening to overwhelm anyone trapped inside. The silver-haired boy was stunned as he realized his puppet had been poisoned. He quickly tried to cleanse it, activating powerful skills like Clarity and Calm and Purifying Rain, channeling sacred light to dispel negative effects. But no matter how much he tried, the poison wouldn't disappear. Desperation filled his voice as he shouted in disbelief, wondering how the corruption could resist purification. His puppet continued to suffer, green poison marks spreading deeper with every moment. Calm and confident, the black-haired fighter simply smiled. He told his opponent to save his breath. This poison wasn't something that could be removed. Frustrated, the silver-haired boy rang his bell with urgency, commanding his puppet to retreat. He shouted for it to get out immediately, desperate to save it from the spreading poison. But the ghost general roared in defiance, its massive body trembling as the poison coursed through its veins. Despite the boy's command, the puppet's body cracked under the overwhelming corruption, its strength on the verge of collapse. The battlefield shook as the ghost general struggled, showing signs that it could no longer resist the poison's deadly grip. The black-haired fighter unleashed a devastating assault. Using Shadow Strike, he teleported behind the ghost general and pierced its weak point, dealing immense damage. Immediately after, Shadow Invasion triggered, striking again with a follow-up attack. Not giving the enemy a chance to recover, he roared out his ultimate move, Dragon Annihilation. His arms transformed into dragon claws as he delivered a relentless flurry of 6 strikes, each one synced with the power of his dragon pets. The ghost general was torn apart under the combined force, leaving the silver-haired boy in shock. Trembling, he rang his bell again, unable to accept the defeat. His voice cracked in disbelief as he admitted that the ghost general had been his strongest puppet, yet it was destroyed so easily. The only thought echoing in his mind was clear: his opponent wasn't human, but a monster. The silver-haired boy, realizing he was at a disadvantage, ordered his ghost shadow to retreat. Riding atop the masked puppet, he tried to escape, vowing to settle the score with the dragon tamer another time. But his opponent wasn't about to let him go so easily. With Xiao Jai and the Shadow Dragon King at his side, he declared that a puppet master like him would make perfect material for top-grade puppets. As the boy fled at full speed, the dragon tamer launched into pursuit, his dragons soaring behind him. He closed in rapidly, warning that there would be no escape this time. The white-haired boy gritted his teeth, annoyed that his pursuer just wouldn't let him go. He tightened his grip on his weapon, refusing to back down. The enemy quickly barked an order, summoning the ghost guard to block his path. The clash was immediate. The ghost guard's flaming blades struck down in rapid succession, forcing the boy to parry each attack with sharp precision. Sparks burst in every direction as steel and fire collided again and again. But while the boy fought defensively, another figure stood with complete confidence. The red-haired man, flames burning along his weapon, looked at the battle with a smirk. He mocked the attempt, saying that if this was all his enemy could muster, then it wouldn't be nearly enough. Without hesitation, he advanced. Fire swirled around his arm as he channeled his power into a devastating technique. In the next instant, his aura expanded, fusing with the energy of his dragon pet. Together, they unleashed a strike called Cut the Sky, a coordinated double blow wrapped in dragon aura. The force of the combined attack tore through the Ghost Guard's defenses in a brilliant explosion of light and shadow, shaking the battlefield. The black-haired fighter smirked confidently, declaring that no one could stop him. As his aura surged, the system activated a powerful ability, Soul Shock. Dragon aura gathered in layers, each one stacking higher as his energy built up. A blinding green light spread across the battlefield as the skill charged. His dragon, Xiao Fei, roared in sync with him. Without hesitation, he gave the command for complete elimination. The dragon responded instantly, releasing waves of destructive energy that shattered everything in its path. The system reported the progress 8 layers had already formed, and the aura was still building. The brilliance of the attack overwhelmed the battlefield, making escape nearly impossible for anyone caught in its range. Meanwhile, the white-haired boy watched in frustration as his summon guard collapsed under the force of the attack. He cursed its weakness, furious that it hadn't lasted even a second against such overwhelming power. The white-haired boy was caught off guard as a dark shadow suddenly appeared behind him. The system revealed the skill Shadow Strike, a stealth ability that teleports to the enemy's weak point and delivers a devastating blow. Before he could react, the attack pierced through him with crushing force. The onslaught didn't end there. Another system prompt triggered Shadow Invasion. After the first strike, an additional attack followed, delivering even more damage. The boy's body trembled as he realized he had no chance to resist. Wounded and desperate, he collapsed to the ground. With blood on his face, he stretched out his hand, begging for mercy. His voice shook as he pleaded to be saved, admitting that he didn't want to die. Standing tall before him, the black-haired man remained silent, his dragon looming menacingly behind him. His cold gaze made it clear who held the power now, while the boy's desperate cries echoed hopelessly in the dust-filled air. The black-haired man clicked his tongue, mocking his opponent's pitiful state. He remarked how much more entertaining the boy had been back when he was arrogant and full of pride. Now, watching him crawl and beg was nothing but pathetic. The white-haired boy, bloodied and desperate, pleaded for his life. He shouted that he was the second young master of the Ning family, trying to use his status as a shield. He promised wealth and rewards if only his life would be spared. But the black-haired man showed no interest in his bargaining. Instead, he calmly turned to his dragon. With a cold command, he ordered Xiao Fei to summon the fallen corpse holy dragon. Light burst from the summoning as the mighty dragon appeared, its aura shaking the ground. The white-haired boy's eyes widened in shock, unable to believe what he was seeing. As the dragon's power filled the air, he trembled, realizing that escape was no longer possible. The black-haired man's expression turned cold as he gave his command he would turn the white-haired boy into nothing more than a new puppet. The boy's eyes widened in horror. He screamed that killing him would bring disaster, warning that the Ning family would tear his enemy apart for this. In desperation, he even invoked his sister's name, vowing she would never forgive such an act. But his pleas went unheard. Dark energy coiled around his body as the system activated corpse manipulation, a technique that could control and transform fallen corpses into puppets. His resistance was crushed as the shadows consumed him, forcing his body into submission. The boy let out a final, agonized scream, but the outcome was already decided. His fate was sealed, his life stripped away, and his existence reshaped into a puppet bound to the fallen corpse holy dragon. Dark shadows coiled tightly around the boy's body until his screams were drowned out. When the energy settled, he no longer looked human. His eyes glowed faintly, his movements stiff, transformed into a puppet under complete control. The system confirmed his new state, listing his identity as Ning 2, Fallen Corpse Puppet Master Level 103. The description revealed that this ability could strengthen corpses, summon them as puppets, and even create an organized puppet army. The black-haired man studied the information carefully. He noted with interest that all of the enhancements applied to puppets as well. If strengthened further, and if every fallen corpse was converted, they could form a powerful puppet squad under his command. Just as he considered the potential of this new ability, someone suddenly called out his name, Lu Fan. His focus shifted, but the weight of what he had just gained was undeniable. The black-haired man turned and greeted his senior sister, who appeared at his side with her weapon in hand. She glanced at the scene and noted how decisive and ruthless he had been, killing the Ning family's young master without hesitation. Looking at the puppet, she remarked that he was a level 100 expert, and letting someone like that go to waste would have been foolish. She acknowledged the choice as practical, though brutal. The man then considered the potential of his new ability, explaining that buffs could also be applied to puppets. He wondered aloud if some corpses could even be transformed into human form puppets, strengthening their forces even further. His senior sister agreed, praising the idea and saying it wasn't bad at all. With a smile, she added that crushing a so-called noble family like this had been something she had wanted to do for a long time. When he asked about her condition, she responded confidently that she was perfectly fine, her tone full of assurance. The two stood side by side, their partnership stronger than ever in the aftermath of their ruthless victory. The white-haired woman admitted that her injuries had been severe, but Xiao Fei's healing had worked wonders. Aside from some lingering fatigue, she assured him there were no serious problems. Satisfied with her recovery, the black-haired man smiled and declared that it was time to begin. He hoped the outcome of their next move wouldn't disappoint. With that, he gave the command, A golden dragon loomed overhead as he ordered the summoning of more puppets. Immediately, the air grew heavy with energy as corpse manipulation activated once again. One after another, figures emerged, dark, twisted forms bound by crimson energy. The newly created puppets stood ready, their presence adding a chilling force to his growing army. The black-haired man gave the order, commanding Ning Tu to take control of the puppets. Dark energy surged from Ning Tu's body, his glowing eyes locking onto the corpses around them. At once, the fallen figures stirred, rising under his command as they transformed into controllable puppets. One after another, shadows wrapped around the corpses, binding them to his will. The battlefield that had been littered with lifeless bodies was now filled with soldiers reanimated into a puppet squad. His senior sister watched in astonishment. She realized that by giving commands to Ning Tu, he could control the entire puppet squad indirectly. Shocked, she exclaimed at the effectiveness of the ability. It meant he had gained not just one puppet, but an entire army through Ning Tu's control. The black-haired man smirked, his eyes glinting with confidence as he revealed there was still more to show. With a commanding voice, he gave the order, amplify. Immediately, the puppets surged with power. A dark energy erupted around them, strengthening their bodies and weapons. Their aura intensified, and even their movements became sharper and more lethal. The air trembled as the puppet squad, now amplified, stood like an unstoppable force. Warriors who had once been mere corpses now radiated overwhelming strength. Their attacks multiplied and their presence magnified. The system revealed the effect. Each puppet received an increase in attack power, making them even more dangerous. These enhancements could not be undone or dispelled by ordinary means. Only the puppet master himself had the authority to remove them. With this, the black-haired man's army of puppets evolved from terrifying to nearly invincible, a force that struck fear into anyone who witnessed their might. The man explained that as long as the puppets weren't completely destroyed, the dark lines within them would allow their bodies to reassemble. His senior sister's eyes widened in amazement as she realized the true scale of his power. She pointed out that in one hand, he now wielded a puppet army forged from 9 realm demons, while in the other he commanded a squad of 4th-tier experts. With this combined strength, she declared, anyone who dared to oppose him would be utterly crushed. The man crossed his arms with a confident smile, stating that with such a lineup, not even the Ning clan or any other so-called noble family would be able to stand in his way. Then, with bold determination, he vowed to make the Yi family the premier clan of the western region. Since he was entrusted to speak for them, he would elevate their name to new heights. His words carried absolute conviction, and his younger companion cheered with a bright smile, fully believing in him. Amid a sea of blazing fire, a cloaked figure stood motionless. His presence was silent yet overwhelming, as the flames swirled violently around him, consuming everything in sight. Slowly, he lifted his hand, revealing a mysterious artifact glowing with ominous patterns. Its fiery light surged outward, merging with the flames as if fueling their destructive force. The air trembled, carrying the weight of its power. Without hesitation, the cloaked figure launched himself into the sky. In an instant, his gaze sharpened as he caught sight of a massive shadow moving within the inferno. The sudden realization made him tense, sensing a terrifying presence emerging. From within the fiery vortex, monstrous beasts burst forth, one cloaked in dark energy, wings stretched wide, while others followed with savage roars. The battlefield erupted in chaos as these overwhelming forces clashed violently against the blazing storm. The cloaked man attempted to teleport away, but the young fighter surged forward with blazing speed, cutting him off before he could escape. With a sharp strike, the youth shouted for him to stop, forcing the cloaked figure back. The clash of their powers echoed through the sky. As the dust settled, the young man narrowed his eyes, realizing something about his opponent. His voice trembled as he questioned the stranger's identity. From the shadows, an older man stepped forward. Recognition flashed. He was one of the teachers who had once stood alongside the headmaster. Outside the battlefield, people looked on in shock. A girl pointed toward the chaos, explaining that the cloaked man had secretly slipped into the abyss and brought disaster with him. Realizing his identity had been exposed, the older man's face twisted with tension. He quickly began forming a seal, channeling a dangerous power. Chains of red energy shot forward, binding tightly. The young fighter was caught off guard, his eyes widening as the trap locked around him. With a roar, the old man unleashed his true form. His cloak tore apart, muscles expanding as a glowing crimson crystal emerged from his chest, radiating overwhelming strength. The young fighter recognized the terrifying technique Flame Core, the most extreme skill of a fire mage. His expression hardened as he realized the danger. The old man's eyes burned with madness as he shouted his intent, determined to drag his opponent into destruction with him. Before the explosion could erupt, allies rushed in. A girl raised her staff, unleashing magic alongside others, calling for him to hold on. Elsewhere, a woman cried out his name in shock as a countdown continued, signaling the critical moment was rapidly approaching. The old man's crimson chains tightened around his foe, declaring that escape was impossible. The young fighter struggled as the energy pulled him down. With madness in his eyes, the old man shouted that death was the only outcome. His power surged, veins glowing with destructive force. The young fighter roared back, commanding his allies to prepare their strongest defenses. He ordered one companion to cast Eternal Guard and another to protect everyone else. At his call, a radiant shield of green light formed, enveloping his allies. The great beast's power clashed against the protective barrier as the countdown to destruction drew even closer. The old man laughed maniacally, declaring that only death awaited them all. Chains of energy tightened as he prepared to trigger the Flame Core's devastating explosion. The young fighter shouted back, calling him a madman, and lunged forward in a desperate attempt to stop him. In the chaos, the old man's hand revealed a powerful artifact glowing with crimson light. The energy surged violently, and a warning flashed that the core had been activated. The young man's eyes widened as he recognized it instantly. This was the forbidden relic once wielded by the headmaster's strongest mage. The old man roared with bloodshot eyes, his body trembling as he forced the burning artifact deeper into his chest, determined to unleash its final power. But his strength faltered. Blood spilled from his mouth as his eyes widened in disbelief. He gasped out the young fighter's name, his voice breaking. Unable to withstand the flames, his body was consumed. He fell, engulfed in fire, his last words echoing as he declared only death remained. The young fighter stood still, watching silently as the enemy was swallowed by the blaze, his expression calm but resolute. As the fiery clash ended, another figure suddenly appeared, wielding a powerful staff. The young fighter looked up sharply, ready for what came next. A mysterious man cloaked in white hovered in the sky, his presence radiating authority. His red eyes glowed beneath the helmet, silently observing. The young fighter met his gaze with calm determination, unshaken by the newcomer's intimidating aura. Meanwhile, on the ground, flames raged as students regrouped. A woman rushed forward, asking if he was hurt. He reassured her calmly, telling her not to worry. The group gathered, still shaken from the battle. One of the girls recalled seeing the mysterious mage before during the envoy's trial and questioned his identity. All eyes turned toward the cloaked figure. Someone whispered that he had once stood alongside the headmaster, raising doubts about his true allegiance. An elder stepped forward, explaining with a heavy tone that none of them expected such betrayal within the academy. He revealed that the man was not only a teacher, but also an honorary professor of the Dragon Capital Academy, an elite fire mage of level 81. Anger and confusion spread among the group. They demanded answers, questioning why someone of such high standing would act this way. If not for their quick resistance, they admitted, they would have all perished together under his deadly attack. As tension rose, the academy staff urged everyone to calm down. He promised that the matter would be thoroughly investigated and answers given soon. The next morning at the headmaster's office, the white-robed figure spoke gravely. He warned that assassination attempts like this would not stop here. Failure this time only meant greater danger next time. He admitted that even though the entire Dragon Capital Academy was under his control, a single step too late could have led to disaster. The betrayal of a professor who had hidden within the academy for years left him uneasy. Across from him, a bearded man lounged casually with a drink in hand, dismissing the tension. He mocked the official for being overly cautious, saying his seriousness made things unbearably dull. The bearded man rose with a laugh, saying it had been a long time since they last met. He asked what business had brought him all the way here this time. His expression then turned sharp. He noted that if the boy remained at the academy, danger would continue to follow. Since the vice principal still had to investigate the incident, he suggested this was the perfect chance to lighten the burden. With a confident grin, he proposed taking the boy himself, escorting him to the northern frontier, where he could both guard him and handle threats more directly. But the white-robed figure questioned his intentions, pointing out that he already had his own heavy responsibilities. He asked if taking the boy along would truly serve any purpose, or if it was just an unnecessary risk. With a confident smile, the bearded man declared that he had been watching the boy's growth for a long time and considered him worth the effort. He hinted that bringing him along might also help with another investigation. Drinking straight from the bottle, he promised boldly that he would ensure the boy's safety and return him alive, no matter what. The next morning, outside the main gate of Dragon Capital Academy, a sleek car screeched to a halt, signaling the start of a new journey. The door opened, and a figure stepped out with firm resolve, ready for what lay ahead. At the academy's entrance, a young girl ran forward joyfully, calling out to her brother who had finally arrived. She asked whether he valued her more, or his preparations for the trials. The older brother smiled and reassured her, saying of course his sister mattered most. He explained that he had been preparing for the upcoming national trials, but had still made time to see her. With innocent eyes, the girl asked if he would help her take revenge for the troubles she had faced. His smile turned sharp behind his glasses. He promised that anyone who dared to upset his beloved sister would be dealt with severely, vowing to teach them a harsh lesson. The red-haired man looks down with a cold expression, remarking that the other has grown defiant. He mocks that the once weak wings have now hardened, daring to challenge him directly. With flames sparking around his blade, he raises his sword and declares that perhaps it's time to remind them of their place. His tone sharpens as he vows to make them obedient once more. The orange-haired fighter grits their teeth, a pained cry escaping as the pressure of the attack forces them back. The weight of the strike leaves them struggling to endure. Just then, another man rushes in, his voice urgent as he begs Uncle Ning to restrain his fury, hoping to stop the clash before it goes too far. The red-haired man looks up in surprise as a flying beast descends, recognizing the figure riding it and calling out in shock. The man in sunglasses steps forward confidently, his presence commanding attention as he lands before them. He announces that he has come to take Shuang to the Divine Ruin's secret realm, his tone calm yet firm. Shuang's eyes narrow, her expression tense as she's reminded of the deep bond she shares with her father, leaving her momentarily silent. Standing beside his rare mechanical bird mount, the man in sunglasses questions the reason for the sudden conflict. The red-haired man responds coldly, saying that since the other is Shuang's fiancé, he is not considered an outsider. He explains that the girl ignored the family's orders, acting recklessly because she believes Ning Tui is dead. Shuang clenches her body in pain, her fiery aura surging as she cries out, insisting that what she believes is the truth. The man in sunglasses quickly steps forward, steadying her as he warns her to be careful, his tone filled with concern. Shuang bursts out with determination, demanding to be released as she declares she will go to the Huang estate to find him, no matter who tries to stop her. The man removes his glasses slowly, murmuring that now he understands what drives her actions. With a heavy tone, he admits that he already knew about Ning Tu's death, explaining he had planned to tell her only after she achieved her breakthrough. Shuang's eyes widen in shock, her voice trembling as she demands to know if her brother truly died at the hands of the Huang family. He gently steadies her, urging her to calm down first. Holding Shuang close, the man tells her that Ning Tu was indeed murdered, but it had nothing to do with the Huang family. Shuang demands to know who was truly responsible. Adjusting his glasses, he reveals that their Luo family's intelligence network traced it back to the Yi family, led by the dragon tamer, Lu Fan. Shuang is stunned, asking who that person is, while another man angrily interrupts, warning Luo not to spread baseless claims. Luo folds his arms and firmly explains that their intelligence is reliable, stating that this dragon tamer even aided the Yi family in defeating the Huang and Long clans. He adds that their investigation suggests he may command as many as 8 dragon pets. Luo narrows his gaze, revealing that the dragon tamer only needed 3 of his dragons to kill Ning Tu. Shuang's eyes widen in disbelief as she exclaims that it's impossible, demanding to know where he could have obtained 8 dragons. The red-haired man adds that even the Luo family's intelligence couldn't uncover how Lu Fan captured them, but his strength and record of defeating dragon bosses are undeniably remarkable. Overcome with emotion, Shuang trembles and shouts that she doesn't care, her resolve unshaken despite the shocking revelation. Shuang's body ignites with raging flames as she cries out that since her brother was killed, she will claim the killer's life in return. She demands to know where the culprit is. The red-haired man orders her to calm down, declaring she is not allowed to go anywhere except the Divine Ruin's secret realm. He insists that he will handle Ning Tu's matter himself, but she snaps back, accusing him of not caring about her brother at all. Overwhelmed, Shuang bends forward, her fiery energy flickering out of control as the man in sunglasses urgently begs both her and Uncle Ning to calm down. As tensions rise, a powerful figure suddenly appears against the backdrop of a blazing eruption, calmly announcing that he has an idea. A fiery silhouette stands against the erupting volcano, acknowledging that Luo's proposal is indeed a good plan. The red-haired man agrees, explaining that it would not delay Shuang's journey to the Divine Ruin's secret realm and would also give them a chance to avenge Ning Tu. He then asks Shuang for her opinion. Shuang lowers her head, finally agreeing to the plan. She adds that she will provide the secret realm's teleportation stone to ensure their passage. Meanwhile, a young man steps out of the shadows with determination, declaring that before anything else, he will personally meet this dragon tamer. 2 days later in the Yi family garden, a young boy asks his senior if he will return to Dragon Capital with him. The dark-haired man shakes his head, explaining that he was close to reaching level 97 when he left the Earth Core Cave, so he intends to level up first. He adds that with the Ning family watching, he cannot leave for at least a month. The silver-haired woman hands him a scroll, telling him to use it to find the Quan family, assuring him that she has already paid for it. He frowns, noting that the Quan family is far away. A single trip from the western borderlands to Dragon Capital takes 2 days, and a teleportation scroll cannot cover such a long distance. The silver-haired woman explains that the Quan family has an enhancement master who can modify the scroll to open a 2-way portal leading to a fixed location. She remarks that if only Starlight's portal could cover such long distances, she could have saved the money spent. Still, she reminds him that even with the portal, he must remain here for a month before leaving. Her words leave her silent for a moment, her expression calm yet thoughtful as she glances aside. The dark-haired man stiffens, his eyes widening in surprise as he reacts strongly to her statement. The dark-haired man thinks about the responsibility weighing on him, declaring he can't afford to remain idle. The silver-haired woman reassures him that a month will pass quickly. She adds with a smile that it's fine if he isn't in Dragon Capital, since she plans to visit his hometown anyway, perhaps returning to Zhonghai City with her aunt. At the Yi family garden in the western borderlands, peace lingers as the young man and the silver-haired woman share a quiet moment together. Suddenly, a glowing feather shoots into the sky, swirling with fiery energy as it activates a strange force. Far away, another figure notices the disturbance, his eyes narrowing as he senses the feather's power. The feather erupts into flames, transforming into a blazing phoenix that lets out a powerful cry, leaving the two onlookers stunned by its overwhelming presence. The silver-haired woman panics, wondering if a fierce beast has broken into the area, but the young man quickly clarifies that this is no beast, it's a class changer, and only an avatar at that. The fiery phoenix looms overhead, radiating immense power that leaves both of them tense and alert. The woman tilts her head upward, acknowledging the overwhelming aura. Even as just an avatar, its presence is undeniably powerful. The phoenix lets out a commanding cry, calling out for Lu Fan, the dragon tamer of the Yi family, demanding that he show himself. The silver-haired woman realizes that the phoenix must belong to the Ning family, likely here seeking revenge. She warns that if he rushes into battle recklessly, the consequences could be dangerous. The dark-haired man calmly reassures her not to worry as he prepares to act, the shadow of a dragon forming behind him. Unfazed, he tells her to stay behind and guard the Yi estate, ensuring the servants don't get involved, while he steps forward to meet the intruder directly. As he soars into the sky with his dragon's wings unfurled, she calls out for him to be careful, but he confidently replies that she has nothing to worry about. From within the blazing phoenix, a woman's voice calls out, confirming if he is Lu Fan. She introduces herself as Ning Shuang, eldest daughter of the Ning family, demanding to know if he was the one who killed her brother Ning too. Lu Fan replies bluntly that he did, asking if she has a problem with that. Enraged, Shuanger's phoenix avatar roars, accusing him of arrogance and claiming his attitude is courting death. Lu Fan stands his ground, countering that it was the Ning family who acted tyrannically first, and now they have the audacity to seek revenge. He mocks her for not daring to face him in person, using only an avatar instead. The fiery phoenix glares down, its form trembling with power as Shuanger insists that even her avatar will be enough to strike him down. Shuanger's phoenix avatar gathers an overwhelming power, declaring it strong enough to wipe out both Lu Fan and the entire Yi estate beneath him. The silver-haired woman trembles, realizing the danger. She thinks to herself that even this avatar's level is too high, and if Shuanger's real body were to appear, it would be catastrophic. Lu Fan rises into the air with his dragon wings, unfazed by the fiery threat. She calls out anxiously, asking if he truly plans to face it head-on. But Lu Fan only smirks, pointing out that she has been charging the same skill for far too long. With calm confidence, he declares that in his opinion, this avatar of hers is nothing he can't eliminate. Lu Fan summons one of his dragons, a towering green beast, declaring that he only needs a single strike to end this battle. The phoenix narrows its eyes, questioning if this is truly one of his 8 dragons. Remembering Luo Lixu's words, it dismisses the creature as merely a support type, mocking that such a beast is no match to avenge Ning Tu's life. Shuanger's phoenix avatar unleashes its strongest attack, roaring as flames ignite into the skill known as World-Burning Flames, a power capable of devastating everything in its path. Watching the overwhelming inferno, an ally cries out in alarm, calling Xiao Fei's name as the clash of ultimate powers begins. The green dragon lets out a thunderous roar as it charges forward, its power surging against the raging flames. The phoenix unleashes its devastating attack, but the dragon counters with Eternal Guardian, a barrier that absorbs and neutralizes all incoming damage. A radiant green shield expands, completely swallowing the inferno as the dragon stands firm, empowered by its resilience and self-regeneration abilities. Shuanger's phoenix avatar recoils in shock, stunned that its most powerful flames had been completely blocked. Lu Fan calmly raises his hand, signaling another move as the battlefield crackles with fiery energy. A dark, menacing figure bursts forth, his shadow dragon appearing right behind the phoenix avatar with glowing crimson eyes. The dragon unleashes Shadow Strike, teleporting behind the target and piercing its weak point with overwhelming force, leaving the phoenix stunned by the sudden assault. The phoenix reels in shock, exclaiming that the attack was far too fast, unable to react before the blow landed. Shuanger's phoenix glares at the shadow dragon, realizing it must be the very beast Luo Lixu spoke of, the one responsible for killing her brother. She admits Lu Fan truly lives up to his reputation as a legendary dragon tamer, but he coolly responds that she overestimated herself, thinking she could exact revenge with only an avatar. The phoenix growls, vowing that her revenge has only just begun. Though she will not kill him now, she promises his death is certain in the future. Lu Fan remains silent, his sharp gaze fixed upward, unshaken by her words as the fiery avatar begins to fade. As the fiery avatar begins to fade, Shuanger leaves behind a chilling vow, promising that next time she will come in person to settle things with Lu Fan. Lu Fan tightens his grip on a glowing stone, preparing himself for what lies ahead. He examines the Divine Ruins Secret Realm Teleportation Stone, a legendary grade item that allows entry into the dangerous realm, knowing it will soon open. Nearby, the fiery feather that once carried Shuanger's presence burns faintly, a reminder of the threat that still lingers. Shuanger's true body sits quietly amidst blazing magma, her expression unreadable as the flames swirl around her. She slowly rises, acknowledging that Lu Fan truly lives up to the title of Dragon Tamer, calling his strength impressive. The scene shifts to the fiery landscape of the western borderlands, where molten rivers and volcanic eruptions emphasize the intensity of her power. She remarks that Lu Fan has only summoned 2 of his 8 dragons, mocking that what he showed was merely 1/4 of his true strength. At her side lies the Earth Core, a legendary material brimming with terrifying flame energy. Shuanger clenches her fist, her body engulfed in swirling flames, vowing that she can't wait to kill Lu Fan inside the Divine Ruins Secret Realm. She lifts the Earth Core, its fiery energy pulsing violently in her grip as her aura intensifies. With burning determination, she crushes the core into pieces, flames erupting wildly around her as her killing intent sharpens. Her lips curl into a confident smile, eyes blazing with hatred as she warns him that he'd better show up because she will be waiting. Lu Fan studies the Divine Ruins Secret Realm Teleportation Stone in his hand, a legendary item said to open the path to the realm in 68 days. He narrows his eyes, wondering if Ning Shuang's words were a challenge for him to meet her there. The silver-haired woman approaches anxiously, asking if Ning Shuang plans to come after them, but Lu Fan calmly replies that she won't. She then questions him about the Divine Ruins Secret Realm itself. He explains that it's an ultra-rare secret opportunity that only appears once every 50 years, with teleportation stones obtainable only as rare drops from Western Borderlands monsters. Lu Fan holds up the glowing teleportation stone, remarking that it could easily be sold for a sky-high price, yet Ning Shuang used it as nothing more than a duel challenge. The silver-haired woman warns him not to accept. She explains that by the time the Divine Ruins Secret Realm opens, many powerful clans aiming for their 5th advancement will also be present, making it far too dangerous. Suddenly, a shadowy figure with a sinister smile appears behind Lu Fan, whispering that he must ignore her advice and go to the realm. Lu Fan stiffens, his eyes narrowing sharply as the command echoes in his mind, leaving him in deep thought. The demon girl's voice echoes, commanding him to enter the Divine Ruins Secret Realm and retrieve something called the spirit-quenching liquid. With a sly smile, she promises that once he reaches his third advancement, she will reveal the location of the legendary myriad armor dragon egg. He questions her sudden appearance, asking when she awoke and if she had witnessed everything. From within his pet space, another voice remarks that it feels comfortable there, and she'll likely recover fully in a month or two. Unfazed, he presses her with questions why she wants him to risk entering the Divine Ruin's secret realm and what purpose the mysterious spirit-quenching liquid truly serves. The demon girl explains that the Divine Ruin's secret realm was once the place where a legendary god fell, leaving behind countless treasures. Among them, the spirit-quenching liquid is the most valuable, capable of greatly boosting a person's attributes, sometimes even doubling them. Hearing this, he recalls the Fountain of Blessed Light, realizing that if it works as she says, combining both could skyrocket his stats. He thinks to himself that his attributes might rise through the roof. Amused, the demon girl smirks, noting that his expression already shows temptation. She warns that the spirit-quenching liquid won't be easy to obtain, but its worth is so great she is even willing to trade the location of a myriad armor dragon egg for it. Her tone turns sharp as she reveals why Ning Shuang had challenged him with an avatar. It wasn't just for honor. She intends to use the dangerous properties of the Divine Ruin's secret realm itself to kill him. The demon girl delivers a shocking truth inside the Divine Ruin's secret realm. Summoning beasts or weapons is forbidden. He realizes this means he'll be completely on his own if he accepts the duel. Startled, he thinks quickly, knowing his carefully prepared puppet team will be useless in such conditions. Facing Ning Shuang in that place would mean walking right into her trap. But the demon girl reassures him, reminding him that he still possesses the Golden Dragon King's set, which allows the transformation skill to remain usable. Her confidence keeps him from being completely discouraged. Leaning closer, she adds one more detail. Though she isn't bound by his contract slot, she can still count as his companion. With a sly smile, she teases that after all, she is also considered his pet, strengthening the bond between them. He clenches his fists, frustrated that Ning Shuang clearly wants to kill him, yet the demon girl insists he should still go. He snaps back, reminding her that if he dies, she'll die as well. The demon girl only laughs, asking if he's still wary of her. With a sly smile, she assures him that harming him would be impossible since their fates are tied together. Her tone softens, reminding him not to forget their deal bring her the spirit-quenching liquid. And after his third advancement, she'll guide him to the myriad armor dragon egg. She explains that the offspring of such a dragon would surpass any other, making him unmatched, even against Ning Shuang. But he frowns, caught in thought. If summoning is forbidden in the Divine Ruin's secret realm, then what use would obtaining the myriad armor dragon be? The contradiction leaves him unsettled. He narrows his eyes, questioning what the demon-devouring Dragon King is really planning. The thought lingers heavily in his mind. Snapping him out of his daze, the girl calls his name sharply and asks why he's spacing out. Startled, he quickly responds. She reminds him that if Ning Shuang isn't coming, they need to hurry or risk missing the final exam. He nods and agrees to move at once. As they walk forward, he thinks to himself that instead of overthinking, he should focus on leveling up quickly. Only then will he be prepared to obtain the spirit-quenching liquid and possibly claim the myriad armor dragon before the Divine Ruin's secret realm opens. He steels his resolve, thinking that if everything goes smoothly, he might finally have a chance to defeat Ning Shuang. The next day at noon, the scene shifts to Dragon Capital Academy, where the final exam is about to take place. Students gather in front of the academy building. Running through the crowd, he curses under his breath, realizing he was delayed by Ning Shuang and has completely missed the exam assembly. Nearby, students complain about the exam format being the same as the new student assessment battles. This time it's a 5v5 match, and one student grumbles about how hard it is to even find teammates. He considers the rules, noting that the final exam will be done in 5-person teams. With arena rankings as a reference, he thinks about who he can potentially team up with. As he enters, he nearly bumps into a teacher carrying a stack of books. She stumbles slightly, and he quickly steadies her. The teacher looks at him in surprise, asking why he's here since she thought he wouldn't return for the final exam. He apologizes respectfully, addressing her as Teacher Gu. Another teacher asks about Gu's health. She smiles, saying she has fully recovered thanks to their efforts in the Taegi Kingdom, though she admits she would have died in the line of duty otherwise. Embarrassed, she waves it off when reminded not to say such unlucky things. The teacher reminds him that since he has returned for the assessment, he must first form a 5-person team to qualify. A student introduces himself confidently, boasting about his level and asking to team up for the final exam. Without hesitation, he rejects the offer. Nearby, the same student tries to pester other girls into joining him, only to be harshly rejected and called out for his persistence. Amid the noise, someone notices him and shouts in surprise. Soon, more students turn their attention, recognizing that Lu Fan has finally returned. Calmly, he greets them. As he reunites with his classmates, they greet him warmly, teasing that they thought he wouldn't show up for the final exam. They point out their current levels and classes, clearly stronger than before. He apologizes, saying he wanted to surprise them by returning at the last moment. With him back, they realize they now have a complete 5-person team. One jokes that they can slack off and still pass easily, while he reacts wryly to being treated like a free pass. The teachers quietly step aside, leaving the group to their reunion. His classmates assure him they've grown stronger too, having trained and challenged dungeons while he was away. Their confidence shows, claiming they're no longer afraid of facing difficult opponents. Hearing this, he feels relieved, knowing they can now stand on their own. One of them quickly notices where his gaze is drifting and guesses he must be looking for 2 other familiar names, Jinju and Chen Tianji. He remains silent, his expression unreadable, as the thought lingers. When asked about Jinju and Chen Tianji, his classmate explains they've been missing since the group returned from the Taegi Kingdom. No one knows their current whereabouts. Hearing this, he clenches his resolve. Though he lets it go for now, he silently vows that one day he will personally deal with her. The group decides not to dwell on it. With the assessment only 3 days away, they suggest heading back to rest, reminding him he must be exhausted after rushing all the way here. As he walks with them, he reflects. Most of the students in his year are still in their 20s, with only a handful already in their 30s. Even without Jinju and Chen Tianji, his team is strong enough to secure good results in the upcoming assessment. As the student gathering continues, the question arises if anyone else wants to join a team. A group steps forward, announcing they are only taking top 10 ranked members and still need 1 more. Their confident display immediately draws attention, and he recognizes 2 faces that seem oddly familiar. It's revealed to be the Fenian Pavilion group. After being silenced for spreading false rumors, they had stayed low for a long time. Now, to everyone's surprise, they were making a bold return. Seeing their reappearance, he and his companions remain calm. They decide not to be bothered, noting that this group is not a threat they need to concern themselves with for the upcoming assessment. Just as the Fenian Pavilion group announced they were looking for a final member, a loud voice suddenly broke the silence. A determined student stepped forward, shouting that he would join their team, his expression full of eagerness and resolve. The sound of armored footsteps echoed as a tall warrior stepped forward, his presence heavy and commanding. He glanced at the group with sharp eyes and questioned if they had the strength to claim first place. Resting his massive weapon on his shoulder, he added that he would only consider joining them if they could truly reach that level. His tone carried confidence, as if victory was the only condition worth his time. He continued firmly, saying he had no interest in teaming with the weak. What he wanted above all else was the top position in the upcoming assessment. His words left a heavy silence between them. One of the men, calm but direct, reminded him that an invitation to join the Fengyan Pavilion had already been offered in the past, yet he had turned it down without hesitation. The armored warrior admitted he normally wouldn't ask anyone for help, but the strict rules of the assessment left him no choice. He added that he was willing to join them temporarily, but only for the duration of the test. The crowd began whispering, curious about his identity. Someone explained that his name was Mang Jia, a transfer student who had arrived not long ago. Others revealed more details. Mang Jia came from a military family, raised under discipline and training from a young age. Since transferring, he quickly gained a reputation, with many believing he was the strongest among them. More whispers spread about his accomplishments. Mang Jia had built an impressive record in ranked matches, boasting a 132-win streak. He had even defeated a top contender, ranked number 3, which meant his next opponent would likely be one of the strongest challengers left. A boy admitted he had never fought in ranked matches, but he saw the upcoming assessment as the perfect chance to test himself against stronger opponents. The others whispered that for him to replace Zhang Fengyan's rank, he must truly be the real deal. Some guessed Zhang Fengyan would likely team up with Mang Jia, while another added that if the group proved strong enough, there would be no need for them to step in. Their expressions carried both doubt and curiosity about what was coming. Suddenly, a cloaked figure rushed in, shouting in excitement that he had just seen Wu Fan return. His words shocked the crowd, making heads turn in disbelief. Zhang's composure broke as he demanded to know where Wu Fan was and when he had come back, his voice filled with urgency and alarm. The crowd buzzed with confusion, wondering who Lu Fan was and why his return stirred such a strong reaction. Some confirmed they hadn't seen him yet, but the possibility of his comeback had already shaken them. A student explained that Lu Fan was a dragon tamer, the number 1 from King Yin class. His reputation alone was enough to make others uneasy. Another admitted that if Lu Fan truly returned, their chances of claiming first place would vanish completely. Hearing this, Mang Jia's expression hardened. With anger boiling over, he shouted that it was ridiculous to admit defeat without even fighting, his voice echoing like a challenge to everyone present. A sudden burst of power struck, shocking those nearby and sending them stumbling back in fear. Mang Jia's voice thundered as he declared that he wasn't boasting without reason. He had the strength, the rank, and the qualifications to aim for first place. He mocked the others, asking where their earlier confidence had gone. Gasps filled the crowd when they noticed the emblem on his chest. Someone shouted in disbelief that it was the mark of the blood-clad army. Whispers spread quickly. This army was one of the strongest organizations in the Dark Iron Country, directly serving under the Great Axe King. The onlookers wondered if Mang Jia truly had military honors despite being only a little older than them. Another confirmed it was no exaggeration. With his blood medal, he had the authority to command hundreds of soldiers from the blood-clad army. Mang Jia raised his voice proudly, revealing that since childhood he had been trained in the blood-clad army. He awakened his combat profession amidst corpses and blood, vowing to become the youngest great general who would protect the nation. Gasps rippled through the crowd as they realized he truly was part of the blood-clad army. Some could hardly believe it. He had spent his student years not in classrooms, but on the battlefield, fighting and killing to survive. Mang Jia then explained why he demanded first place in every assessment. His goal was to graduate early so he could return to the blood-clad army with honor. With a commanding gesture, he asked directly if the others had the confidence to defeat Lu Fan. The tension thickened as a hesitant reply came. Faced with Mang Jia's overwhelming aura, one of them struggled to respond, their voice faltering as they admitted their uncertainty. One of the onlookers thought to himself that if Mang Jia, a warrior hardened by life and death battles, chose to join them, then perhaps the Fengyan Pavilion would finally have a real chance at redemption. The tension broke as hands were clasped firmly, sealing an alliance. Mang Jia was welcomed into the team with respect. His confident reply carried pride, showing he was more than ready to take the lead. The crowd erupted in cheers, amazed by his overwhelming presence. They whispered that they were about to witness the rise of a new number one, while one voice hesitated, realizing something important might still be missing. As the crowd celebrated, one cautious voice reminded Boss Zhang that it might be too early. After all, Lu Fan was no ordinary opponent. He was a dragon tamer who had even participated in the national trials. Zhang dismissed the concern coldly, saying it didn't matter. He claimed Mang Jia's achievements alone were enough to overshadow Lu Fan and even make him feel ashamed of his own record. Mang Jia acknowledged the mention of the national trials but brushed it aside. He stated that while Lu Fan might have dragon pets, true strength came from real experience. With a confident smirk, Mang Jia declared that Lu Fan had never faced the chaos of the front lines. He admitted he was eager to see just how strong Lu Fan truly was. At Dragon Capital Academy's Villa No. 2, excitement filled the air. Someone exclaimed that the equipment laid out before them was far too powerful. A girl marveled at the items, shocked that their senior had given so much to them. Another pointed out that the gear was so valuable and strong, it could be used even at level 57. The group admired how their senior had prepared skill books and protective equipment for everyone, even thinking about Miss Yi's safety. Grateful, they reminded Little Fan to properly thank her on everyone's behalf. Overwhelmed with joy, the girl raised a glowing sword high, shouting in delight that it was her very first legendary weapon. The brilliance of the blade marked a new step forward for her. One girl held a radiant staff in awe, stunned that it was far more valuable than anything her wealthy father could ever buy. She admitted she couldn't believe such a treasure was now hers. Another girl admired her weapon, explaining that the enchantment effects alone were something she could never have afforded on her own. With gratitude, she thanked her senior sincerely. The group's excitement grew as they tested their new gear. They encouraged each other to perform well in the upcoming exam, thrilled that their stats had skyrocketed, with some even doubling in strength. Amidst the celebration, they reminded Lu Fan to properly invite their senior as a guest, so they could thank her personally for her generosity. Lu Fan agreed, knowing they couldn't afford to seem ungrateful. Lu Fan explained that certain family matters would take about a month to resolve, smiling as he reassured the group. Suddenly, a knock at the door interrupted the conversation. Someone called out that a visitor had arrived. The girls speculated that the evening's events would soon be over, leaving them wondering who it could be. Lu Fan stepped forward to answer the door, meeting an older man in a black suit and sunglasses. He cautiously asked the stranger who he was. The man removed his glasses with a respectful gesture and formally asked if he was speaking to Mr. Lu Fan. The older man stepped forward respectfully and introduced himself as Morozov, a representative from the Snow Country. He explained that young Master Andre had entrusted him with overseeing the renovation project for Lu Fan's territory, making his purpose for the visit clear. Andre moved faster than expected. In a short time, he brought the famous Snow Country designer, Morozov, and asked for the construction blueprints for his island. The blueprints revealed something unexpected. Epic-grade Shadow Demon crystal cannons were deployed around the island. Their firing range covered both the entire island and its surroundings, strong enough to eliminate even a 4th rank advancement master. What was planned as a resort island had now been transformed into a heavily fortified war fortress. Surprisingly, this drastic change didn't seem bad, it was a useful upgrade. Morozov also promised to complete a teleportation formation linking Dragon Capital Academy's dungeon hall to Shadow Island within 3 days. That deadline coincided with the beginning of the final exam. Tao Xiaoman and the others volunteered for the task. They made a deal unless they encountered an exceptionally strong opponent, he would not intervene. Confident in their training, they told him to leave the fight to them. During the exam, unless a formidable enemy appeared, there would be no need for him to act. He accepted their decision with a smile, saying he was fine with being idle and letting them handle things. To give his team a final boost before the exam, he activated a special skill that temporarily enhanced their abilities and reduced their resistance. He took the group for training, giving them a chance to fight and level up. Tao Xiaoman's strength improved significantly, reaching level 38. Qin Qiu advanced further, achieving level 39. Han Qi also made progress, breaking through to level 30. Jianing's training paid off, allowing her to break through and reach level 40. Lu Fan's progress was even greater, his level soaring up to 50. 3 days later, the scene shifted to Dragon Capital Academy's Grand Arena, where the final exam was about to begin. One student drew a card with the number 8, wondering aloud who their opponent would be. The team stood together with confidence, declaring that they would defeat whoever appeared as their opponent. As Lu Fan walked forward, his presence drew attention and admiration. A nervous student approached, asking if he could take a photo with Lu Fan. Excited, he explained that he had watched Lu Fan's trial of the nation live stream and thought it was incredible, proudly declaring himself as a fan. Lu Fan agreed with a smile, allowing the student to take a photo with him. The student happily snapped the picture, thrilled to stand beside him. However, the mood quickly shifted when the student nervously admitted that his team had drawn number 8, making them Lu Fan's opponents. Overwhelmed, he panicked and immediately forfeited, running away while the others looked on in surprise. Tao Xiaoman reminded him that the exam wasn't only about rank, but also about combat performance. Running away would only result in a makeup exam. The nervous student admitted he knew, but argued that even if 50 or 500 of them faced Lu Fan's team, they wouldn't last a single hit. Tao Xiaoman reassured him, promising not to let the fight end instantly and guaranteeing he'd still have a chance to perform. Despite his hesitation, the student joined his team on the field, preparing to face the overwhelming challenge. Tao Xiaoman cut off the hesitation, telling them to stop wasting time. The opposing team charged forward with determination, declaring the start of the battle. Qin Qiu rallied her team, urging everyone to join the fight, and they responded with confidence. As the clash began, Yudo Rinai swiftly moved into action, casting a spell to trap their opponents. The opponents were caught inside a powerful holy light barrier, leaving them trapped with no escape. Tao Xiaoman charged in, mocking them for missing their only chance to strike. She unleashed a devastating water attribute attack, overwhelming the trapped enemies from all directions. With their defenses shattered, Qin Qiu stepped forward and declared the fight over, ending the battle. With dazzling magic, Yudo Rinai unleashed a holy light ability that devastated all enemies within range. Spectators were left stunned, unable to understand what had just happened. Some complained they had only looked away for a second, yet the battle was already over. The crowd marveled at the instant victory, shocked that 2 girls on Lu Fan's team could overpower so many opponents so easily. Lu Fan admitted he hadn't expected everyone to become so strong, while others credited Jianing's guidance. Jianing humbly responded that the credit belonged to the whole team, the result of their persistent training. Elsewhere, a group of students eagerly suggested forming a permanent team, showing their excitement. They admired Brother Meng's strength, declaring him their role model and vowing to follow in his footsteps after graduation. Brother Meng told his followers that if they could defeat Lu Fan in the finals, he would personally recommend them for the blood-clad army. Others praised Lu Fan's team, amazed that the 2 girls had managed a clean 1 on 5 sweep. Some even joked that Lu Fan could win the competition without lifting a finger. On the battlefield, Tao Xiaoman and Qin Qiu unleashed another powerful combined attack, drawing admiration from the crowd. Brother Meng's expression hardened as he watched, realizing just how formidable Lu Fan's team truly was. Lu Fan stood calmly, drawing the attention of his rival. Brother Meng scoffed, calling Lu Fan's success nothing but luck, claiming he only rose in fame because of his dragon. He clenched his fist, declaring that a true expert was forged through countless battles, in a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. With determination burning in his eyes, Brother Meng vowed to personally tear away the glory surrounding Lu Fan. The stadium was alive with thunderous cheers as the crowd surged with excitement, waving their fists and shouting over one another. Everyone rushed to place their bets, choosing between Lu Fan and Mang Jia, two names that had dominated every discussion leading up to this final exam. Many in the stands placed their faith in Lu Fan, calling him God Lu, remembering how he had completely crushed the secret realm of the nation. To them, a man who had conquered something so dangerous couldn't possibly falter in a mere exam. But not everyone was so certain. Another voice reminded the crowd of the leaked video from just yesterday, a video that spread like wildfire. In that footage, Mang Jia had gone head-to-head with a tough third advancement master. The scene left viewers stunned. In less than 5 minutes, bones were broken and bodies lay scattered across the ground. Her strength was undeniable, and it threw the entire stadium into doubt. This match, they realized, was far from decided. As the announcer stepped forward, the noise quieted just slightly. He declared the first fighters who would be entering the arena, and the audience leaned in with anticipation. But then came the shock. Lu Fan and Mang Jia weren't the ones stepping forward. The crowd buzzed with confusion, realizing the two strongest contenders weren't fighting each other just yet. Spectators voiced concern, noting that facing 3 opponents at once created a huge gap. They pointed out that including a life-type profession in the team only added a clear weakness. Meanwhile, Lu Fan sat calmly among the crowd, his presence steady and silent, while those around him continued to speculate. On the field, a tall man with a scarred face stood firm, his expression unwavering as he prepared for the match. Across from him, one of the challengers mocked arrogantly, warning that without fighting, Lu Fan's team would lose their #1 title. Lu Fan leaned back casually, reminding his team to step up their efforts as the battle unfolded. His words struck hard, sharpening the determination in his teammates' eyes. On the opposing side, their leader shouted orders to finish the fight quickly and prove that the Fengyan Pavilion was making a comeback. Her group responded with determination. Hearing that, Lu Fan's side smirked with confidence. They prepared to fight seriously, vowing not to let anyone look down on them. The arena fell silent for just a moment as the referee raised her hand. With a sharp command, she announced the start of the match. The crowd erupted in cheers as the battlefield came alive. Without hesitation, Lu Fan's team unleashed their opening moves. The pink-haired warrior summoned swirling torrents of water, her skill creating countless blades that shot out in every direction. The attack carried crushing force, piercing targets while slowing their movements and weakening their defenses. At the same time, the silver-haired priestess raised her staff high, summoning a blazing radiance. With a cry, she called forth starlight annihilation, flooding the field with divine light. The holy power burned through enemies, dealing continuous damage and reducing their resistance, leaving them vulnerable under the relentless glow. In an instant, the battlefield was engulfed by waves of water and searing light. The fight had only just begun, but the overwhelming power of Lu Fan's side left the stadium roaring in shock and awe. The atmosphere grew heavier as the black-haired swordswoman stepped forward, her hands glowing with power. With a sharp command, she unleashed her skill, mountain shaking. Massive blades of energy appeared in the air, carrying devastating force that spread its damage to every enemy within reach. Across the field, Fengyan Pavilion's fighters braced themselves. Their leader shouted for them to prepare, rallying the group as they surged forward with weapons drawn and magic blazing. The clash erupted instantly. Waves of power collided mid-air, water, light, and steel crashing against the incoming assault. The shockwaves lit up the entire arena, forcing even the spectators to lean back from the sheer pressure of the collision. Realizing the overwhelming impact, one of the enemy mages barked an urgent command to scatter. Their formation broke apart as they scrambled to avoid the combined barrage, struggling to withstand the crushing momentum of Lu Fan's team. The battlefield shook as explosions erupted across the arena, sending smoke and fire billowing into the air. The impact blinded the spectators for a moment, hiding the enemy's movements within the chaos. Through the settling haze, Lu Fan's teammates scanned the field carefully. One of them warned the others to stay alert, suspecting a trap. The thought of their opponents retreating so easily didn't sit right. Their instincts proved correct. From the smoke, a sudden spell struck out, binding Jianing in glowing chains of magic. Her body was instantly restrained, lifted into the air as she struggled against the imprisoning force. Shock rippled through the team. The enemy's plan was clear. Their target wasn't the group as a whole, but Jianing specifically. The sorcery locked her completely, leaving her unable to move or use her abilities for several critical seconds. The battle split into chaos as opponents clashed on all sides. The pink-haired warrior intercepted an incoming strike, while another declared with confidence that their fight was against her, not anyone else. Meanwhile, Jianing remained bound by the glowing chains, facing an enemy who sneered at her helplessness. He mocked that with her restrained, the match would be decided once she fell. But the enemy wasn't finished. Dark energy surged as his skill activated. In an instant, his body split into countless shadowy clones, each one preparing to strike with high-speed slashes aimed at her defense. For the next few seconds, their combined assault could reduce even the toughest opponent's strength. Yet, Jianing's expression didn't falter. With calm eyes, she looked at them and spoke lightly, asking if that was truly all they had. Her words unsettled her enemies, who couldn't understand her composure despite the trap closing in. The battle raged on as radiant light burst across the arena. The priestess raised her staff and unleashed starlight annihilation. Holy flames engulfed the field, burning enemies with continuous light damage while stripping away their resistance. The brilliance forced several opponents onto the defensive, their movements slowed by the overwhelming force. At the same time, the pink-haired warrior struck with her blade, casting water prison. 4 chains of water lashed out, binding one of the enemy fighters. He struggled, cursing under his breath as the chains tightened, locking him in place. His speed and strength were suppressed, leaving him unable to break free. Watching from the sidelines, one of the enemy leaders clenched his fists in disbelief. Their team was being pushed back, suppressed under the relentless assault. Meanwhile, Jianing remained bound by glowing chains, her expression calm and unreadable. The timer ticked down, only 3 seconds left before her imprisonment would end. One of the enemy fighters charged forward, declaring he would take Jianing down first. With her still bound in glowing chains, he believed victory was already within reach. But suddenly, a surge of power burst from her weapon. The sword split into countless blades, myriad flowers. Each fragment carried destructive force, raining down like a storm of golden steel. The countdown ticked closer. Only 2 seconds of imprisonment remained. Caught off guard, the enemy panicked as the storm of swords bore down on him. His desperate cries echoed as the blades closed in, shredding through his defenses. From the sidelines, another enemy watched in shock. His eyes widened as he shouted in disbelief. How could Jianing, still trapped under the imprisonment lock, possibly activate such a powerful skill? The countdown ticked away. 1 second left on Jianing's imprisonment. Her opponent lunged, blade flashing as he prepared to finish her off before the chains disappeared. But in the very next instant, the timer hit 0. The lock shattered, and Jianing was freed. Her opponent's strike cut only through the air, his attack thrown off balance as her calm figure stood unshaken. From the stands, Lu Fan observed quietly, his eyes sharp as ever. He explained to the woman beside him that the enemy had miscalculated. Jianing never relied on active skills, she used her weapon's unique effects instead. That was why the imprisonment lock had failed to restrain her power. Unbothered by the chaos of the fight, Lu Fan leaned back on the picnic mat, his tone relaxed. The woman beside him smiled gently, offering him a glass of juice she had prepared with his favorite fruits, a quiet contrast to the roaring stadium around them. From the stands, one of the older warriors scowled, scoffing at the battle below. To him, the fight was nothing but trash, a display unworthy of true warriors. But down on the field, everything shifted. The glowing chains that bound Jianing cracked apart and shattered into fragments of light. Slowly, she rose from the ground, her figure calm yet commanding. With each step forward, the aura around her grew heavier. The chains that had once imprisoned her now floated and dissolved, powerless against her presence. Her long black hair flowed as blades of energy gathered at her sides, their edge humming with lethal intent. Jianing's eyes remained steady, carrying a quiet resolve that struck more fear into her enemies than any roar of rage ever could. One of the enemy fighters surged with dark energy, preparing his next move with blades in hand. He activated Shadow Strike, splitting into multiple phantom clones ready to launch high-speed attacks. The clones surrounded Jianing from all sides, blades aimed to tear through her defenses. But Jianing remained calm, dismissing their efforts with a single cold word, calling it futile. The arena shakes as a burst of icy energy explodes outward, freezing multiple enemies at once. The cold spreads rapidly, locking them in place and reducing their speed. From the stands, a woman calmly observes the scene as the frost engulfs the battleground, trapping the fighter who struggles inside the thick layer of ice. The system reveals the weapon, Frigid Winter Sword, an excellent quality blade with a special effect that inflicts ice elemental damage and lowers the target's movement speed by 30%. At the center, the armored girl channels immense power through her sword. Ice spears surge in every direction before she unleashes a devastating strike, shattering the ground and overwhelming her opponent with unstoppable force. The crowd erupts in shock, pointing at the arena. They exclaim how strong Jianing's side is, while noting in disbelief that Lu Fan still hasn't made a single move. Another fighter yells in frustration, questioning why Lu Fan remains motionless and hasn't stepped in yet. Amidst the chaos, Lu Fan sits calmly on the ground, his posture relaxed as if completely unfazed by the battle raging around him. A close-up reveals his confident smile, eyes sharp with quiet assurance, showing he has everything under control. A heavily armored man steps forward with a fierce glare, his strength radiating as he prepares to strike. Lu Fan rises with a calm smile, remarking that he can't just sit still any longer. The man roars for others to move aside, forcing his way through with raw power. The system identifies him as Mang Jia, level 40, Berserk Bloodwolf Swordsman Roman II, Blood-clad Army 3rd Order. Meanwhile, a woman offers Lu Fan something to eat, but he declines, saying he'll buy groceries with her later. He adds with a faint smile that they'll all share a good meal tonight once the assessment is over. The woman smiles warmly at Lu Fan, reminding him she has always taken care of him. He reassures her with a grin, saying tonight will be a victory feast. The spectators grow excited as Lu Fan finally stands up, wondering if he's about to make his move. Commentators recall how he terrified the crowd the last time he fought against the pavilion. Meanwhile, the armored opponent scoffs at Lu Fan's calmness, calling him arrogant as he charges forward with deadly intent. With a roar, he swings his massive weapon, demanding that the Dragon Tamer come out and face him head-on. Jianing steps forward, revealed as a level 40 sword dancer. She blocks the path with her glowing blade, declaring that anyone who wants to advance must first get through her. Both fighters unleash their weapons at once. The Frigid Winter Sword slows opponents with icy damage, while the enemy's blood-bearing sword cuts through defenses and boosts attack speed. Their clash shakes the arena. The armored man roars that he has no interest in Jianing, striking with explosive force. His army breaker greatsword sends out destructive waves, crushing anything in its range. Another challenger joins in, wielding the Inferno Sunblade. Flames erupt around her as the weapon's power channels searing fire damage before returning to its wielder, intensifying the chaotic battle. As the battle rages, a fighter intercepts the attack with a bold declaration, reminding the enemy that their true opponent is him. The armored man sneers, dismissing the challenger as unworthy. He clashes fiercely, testing the strength of his opponents. Another ally leaps in to assist, but Jianing clicks her tongue in annoyance, calling her target stubborn and troublesome. From the sidelines, a silver-haired girl calmly steps forward. She tells the others there's no need to intervene, stating that since he wishes to fight her, she will personally grant him that battle. Lu Fan steps forward confidently, stating that everyone has performed well enough. He adds that if this had been a real life or death battle, Fengyan Pavilion would have been wiped out long ago. Mang Jia mocks him, saying anyone can boast while hiding behind women. He overpowers an opponent, pushing them to the brink as they struggle to hold on. Suddenly, his expression shifts in shock as fiery arrows rain down. The system reveals the weapon, Arrow of the Nether Serpent, capable of firing 12 magical arrows at once, each dealing heavy damage. Lu Fan, now wielding the bow, commands his allies Jianing and Taozi to fall back and protect Anti with Qin Qiu, showing he is ready to take control of the battlefield himself. Mang Jia smirks and tells Zhang Fengyan's group to fall back as well, warning he won't be responsible for any friendly fire once he gets serious. Spectators murmur in anticipation, wondering if Lu Fan is about to summon a dragon. Others argue that even then, Mang Jia might not necessarily lose. Mang Jia lifts his weapon high, his body surging with energy. He declares that he is someone who survived the war against the beast tides. With a fierce strike, he launches himself toward Lu Fan, proclaiming himself a true warrior as his attack crashes down. Lu Fan activates his skill, summoning fiery energy as the system identifies it as Dragon Origin Mode, Blaze Dragon Roman 2. The flames surge forward like a dragon's breath, crashing into Mang Jia and forcing him back with overwhelming heat. Mang Jia grits his teeth, barely holding against the scorching waves of fire as the clash intensifies. Frustrated, he shouts at Lu Fan, demanding why a dragon tamer isn't summoning his dragon pets to fight instead. Lu Fan stands surrounded by blazing flames, asking his opponent if he truly wants to see a dragon. With a calm expression, he adds that before that happens, his enemy will first have to land a real hit on him. Mang Jia grits his teeth in frustration, his body straining as his rage builds. He lets out a thunderous roar, his body transforming into a monstrous, red glowing beast form as raw power bursts outward. Mang Jia's body twists as he fully unleashes his werewolf form, shocking the crowd. His allies cheer, while Lu Fan watches calmly. The system reveals the transformation, werewolf metamorphosis, granting immense power and regeneration, but leaving the user reckless and vulnerable if not controlled. Mang Jia roars that he'll tear Lu Fan to shreds. Lu Fan clashes with him head-on, noting that Mang Jia had been hiding his true strength all along. Their strikes shake the arena with violent force. A red dragon spirit hovers above as Lu Fan fires a volley of magical arrows from the Arrow of the Nether Serpent, piercing into Mang Jia's transformed body with devastating accuracy. Mang Jia, in his full werewolf form, glares fiercely with glowing red eyes. His breath grows heavy, each growl echoing across the arena. The beastly aura around him intensifies, shaking the ground beneath his feet. With a savage snarl, he prepares to launch his next ferocious attack. At the Dragon Capital Academy arena, the boy's body surged with power as he roared that he would tear his opponent apart. His energy flared violently, signaling the start of a dangerous transformation. Observers noticed the rage consuming him, warning that his draconic bloodline was forcing him to lose his sanity. In this berserk form, he could no longer distinguish friend from foe. The system began charging, marking the first second of his transformation. With wings blazing and fire enveloping him, he clashed fiercely with the monstrous beast. The creature roared and struck back, their battle shaking the ground as power exploded between them. The system counted into the second charge as he kept pressing forward. Yet the warning grew louder: if he continued in this draconic form, he would completely lose himself and turn into a mindless beast that killed on sight. The berserk fighter's attack smashed his opponent to the ground, leaving him bloodied and helpless. Even in his battered state, the victim cried out for the rampage to stop, but the strikes only grew fiercer. Nearby students panicked, calling for help as protective barriers were raised in desperation. They shouted apologies and begged for stronger figures like the instructors and leaders to intervene before things spiraled further. The crowd erupted in fear, realizing that the berserk boy had lost all sense of control and was even attacking his own people. Some screamed that they had to escape, while others questioned why the teachers had not stepped in yet, worried that Zhang Fang would be beaten to death. From the stands, a woman urgently pleaded with the vice principal to halt the fight, pointing out that the boy had completely lost control. The vice principal remained tense, noting in shock that despite everything, Lu Fan was still making his move. As the berserk transformation worsened, another fighter stepped forward, declaring that this was the only way to stop him before he fully turned into a beast. The system displayed 3 seconds charged, the tension rising with each moment. With determination, he clashed directly against the rampaging foe, shouting that he would be the one to end this madness. Their blades and powers collided violently, shaking the arena. Unleashing a powerful skill, he activated dragon language replication, leaping thunder. Lightning crackled around him, charging the atmosphere as the ability prepared to strike. Bolts of thunder rained down, chaining from target to target with overwhelming force. The berserk boy screamed in agony as the replicated skill amplified the damage, combining the dragon's might with the user's own strength. The berserk fighter coughed violently, crying out in pain as lightning tore through his body. Desperate, he begged for mercy while the devastating attack continued to surge around him. The replicated thunder skill chained relentlessly, striking one target after another. The power grew stronger with each jump, spreading chaos as more screams filled the arena. Those caught in the attack writhed in agony, unable to resist the overwhelming force. Panic erupted among the crowd as they realized the blast could spread into the audience. People rushed to escape, shouting that both fighters were insane for unleashing such dangerous power. From the stands, the vice principal and others demanded Lu Fan stop immediately, fearing he intended to kill. Amid the crackling destruction, Lu Fan calmly walked forward, lightning still surrounding him. He reassured the vice principal not to be nervous, explaining that he wasn't after their lives, his words carrying a chilling certainty. As the dust settled, Lu Fan calmly stated that while his opponents would survive, they would be spending several days in the hospital. The werewolf transformation was finally undone, the enemy's stamina fully depleted. The crowd erupted in disbelief, stunned that Lu Fan had taken down everyone with a single skill. Some muttered that the wait had been worth it, while the announcers declared the final assessment officially over. The victors were announced: Lu Fan, Jianying, Qin Qiu, Tao Xiaoman, and their external supporter, Han Qi. Excited voices called out, praising Lu Fan's incredible performance, while his companions asked if he was tired and urged him to prepare for the victory feast. As the celebrations began, Lu Fan quietly turned away, his calm demeanor drawing attention once more. Someone watching closely called out softly, surprised, "Little Fan?" Lu Fan revealed a new summon, a dragon girl who appeared with radiant energy. Her sudden presence stunned the audience, drawing gasps and admiration. The crowd erupted in chatter, some amazed at her cuteness and others doubting the bond, saying the colors didn't even match. Many admired her, with some joking about wanting to hug her. while others recalled Lu Fan's past battles and marveled that someone could truly tame such beings. His opponent struggled to rise, staring in disbelief at the dragon girl by Lu Fan's side. Shocked, he demanded to know if this was really his dragon and questioned what Lu Fan was planning to do. Instead of panicking, the man tried to reason with him. He asked if pressing the advantage was necessary, reminding Lu Fan that this was not a battlefield and questioning if there was truly a need to kill him. The dragon girl released the Fountain of Life, a radiant green light that spread across the arena. Its power continuously restored the health of all friendly targets, surrounding the fallen fighters in healing energy. The battered opponent looked up in disbelief as his wounds began to mend. He muttered in surprise, realizing that Lu Fan was actually healing them instead of finishing them off. Relief mixed with shock as the pain started to fade. Standing firm, Lu Fan explained coldly that in the future, they shouldn't waste time playing chess with terrible players. He added that hanging around Funyun Pavilion would only drag them down further. One of the defeated fighters trembled, clenching his fist tightly. Words stuck in his throat as he struggled to respond, his pride shattered by Lu Fan's overwhelming dominance. The defeated fighter roared in frustration, refusing to accept the outcome. He couldn't believe that despite his fierce training and strength, he had been brought down so easily. Crying out, he proclaimed that he was the fastest in the blood-clad army and had even been promoted to the Third Order. Yet all that power meant nothing as he lay beaten in front of a student. His voice cracked with disbelief as he questioned how someone like Lu Fan could defeat him with such ease. The humiliation burned deeper than his injuries. Falling to his knees, he declared the result unfair, calling it too cruel. Lu Fan looked down at him calmly, acknowledging his despair with a quiet response he understood. Lu Fan reflected on how others often dismissed him as just a lucky boy who relied solely on his dragon pets to climb to the top. Yet beneath the whispers, his achievements told a different story. His efforts had been countless, devoting himself to raising every dragon, overcoming trials, and constantly facing impossible challenges. His accomplishments were not any less than those who doubted him. In recognition, he had even earned a golden emblem from the Griffin Legion, proof of his true worth. The revelation shocked his opponents, who couldn't believe someone enrolled for only a year could gain such honor. They accused him of lying, their disbelief echoing across the arena. The announcement stirred the crowd, with whispers speculating about Lu Fan's ties to recent events in the Tixi Nation. The vice principal, however, ended the tension, assuring that no one else would be harmed and instructing Du Han to leave with him. Lu Fan assured his opponents that he wouldn't abuse his power to toy with them. Instead, he advised them to keep training so their strength would one day match the positions they sought. Meanwhile, his companions cheered in excitement. Xiao Fei eagerly shouted about enjoying delicious food soon, while another urged elder sister Han to hurry, already looking forward to the grand victory feast. On the other side, the defeated fighters struggled to recover. One tried to help his leader up, but the man stubbornly pushed him away, insisting he could stand on his own despite his battered state. Clutching a mysterious gem tightly, the man smirked to himself, laughter spilling out as he muttered with a dark tone, hinting that his defeat might not be the end. Holding the glowing gem in his hands, the defeated man realized the truth. He admitted that he was the one whose strength did not match his position, the weight of his loss finally settling in. That evening, after the grand victory feast, the scene shifted to Villa No 2 at Dragon Capital Academy, where the night grew calm and quiet. Lu Fan stepped outside with a satisfied smile, remarking on how delicious Auntie's cooking had been. Every meal she made was always perfect, leaving him content. He chuckled to himself, recalling that once Auntie studied the scroll given by his senior sister, her cooking would not only taste better but even grant stronger buffs, making the future meals something to look forward to. As Lu Fan entered his room, he froze in shock. Lying on his bed was Jian Ying, dressed in a way that left him completely stunned. He turned away in silence, unsure of what he had just walked into, his mind struggling to process the scene. Confused, he questioned why Jianing would be in his bed and dressed like that. He wondered if his eyes were deceiving him, unable to believe what he was seeing. Trying to make sense of it, he nervously blamed the mushrooms he had eaten earlier. Doubt crept in as he wondered if Auntie's cooking had finally gone wrong, making him hallucinate. He slowly pushes the door open, his expression uneasy and his face slightly flushed as he peeks inside. The moment he steps in, he notices her sitting casually on the bed. Startled, he blurts out in confusion, questioning why she is in his bedroom. She rises gracefully and admits that she entered without permission, her tone calm but carrying a hint of nervousness. Facing him directly, she shyly confesses that she had been waiting for him. Blushing, she adds that after he finished eating, she wanted to spend time with him. He looks shocked and flustered, stammering as he asks what she meant by wanting to be with him. She quickly explains that she only wanted to talk about the upcoming holiday break. She mentions hearing from elder sister Han that he would be leaving the capital once the break begins. He nods and explains that the break lasts 4 months, and they will be returning to Zhanghai City. He adds that Qin Qiu and Taozi will also be going since it is their hometown. Blushing, she hesitates before asking if she can go with him. He responds with surprise, then laughs lightly, agreeing that she can, though he wonders why she would want to. She lowers her gaze and admits softly that she has nowhere to return to. Her thoughts reveal the truth. Her family had once been among the most prominent in a border city of Yunbei province. But everything changed when the beast tide struck, leaving the entire city in ruins. The memory shows the devastating battle. Her family and the city's defenders fought desperately until the very last moment, but in the end, none of them survived. She faces him again and explains that all of this happened just 2 months before she enrolled, leaving her with no home to go back to. She admits that although she was once the top scorer of Yunbei province, she no longer has a home to return to. Lowering her head, she apologizes for being a burden and suggests she could just stay behind during the break, focusing on training. He gently reassures her, saying that no one is meant to be alone. With a calm smile, he promises that they will go back to Zhanghai City together. Hearing his words, she falls silent as he adds that Zhanghai will become her new home. She smiles warmly, her eyes soft as she thanks Lu Fan with genuine gratitude. Meanwhile, deep within the Shengu forest on the border of Taiji Nation, the scene shifts to a dark and eerie place where the air trembles with strange energy. A massive crack splits through the ground, releasing ominous purple light as the surroundings shake violently. From within the destruction, a colossal figure begins to emerge, its body radiating overwhelming power as it steps into the world. A massive skeletal hand rises from the darkness, radiating terrifying purple energy as ominous voices echo about awakening power and vengeance. News spreads quickly. An urgent broadcast announces that Taiji Nation has been struck by a large-scale snow tide attack. All flights to the nation are suspended indefinitely. People gather in shock, questioning what could have happened. With only text updates available, suspicion grows that Taiji Nation is deliberately blocking the news. He reflects quietly, noting that the Lai family took control after the Sin family's fall. Thankfully, his wanted status has been erased. Still, he wonders if the powerful figure's senior sister once mentioned, who secretly supported Taiji Nation, will finally make their move. As they sit together, one of the girls says it's none of their concern. She cheerfully adds that once they return to Zhanghai City, she'll show everyone around and let them see their new home. He closes his eyes and reflects silently, deciding not to dwell on the recent troubles. Instead, he tells himself the wiser choice is to enjoy the holiday. Meanwhile, in Tianshu City, chaos unfolds as flames and destruction consume the streets, the city reduced to ruins. From above, skeletal dragons with glowing eyes descend upon the city, spreading terror as people scream and flee in despair. Guards escort an older man as they announce they have brought the person he requested. Above them, a massive skeletal dragon looms, its eyes glowing with a terrifying light. The man pleads desperately, begging the creature for mercy and to spare them. Sweating nervously, he thinks to himself that the one sent to help them has clearly abandoned them. If they fail to satisfy the beast today, the Liu family will be completely destroyed. In panic, he shouts at the guards to hurry and bring the person forward, hoping to appease the monstrous creature. The older man watches with a tense smile as guards escort two bound captives forward. Among them is a young man with white hair and a girl beside him, both restrained and forced to their knees. As the skeletal dragon looms overhead, the girl shouts in fear, asking what more it wants since the Jin family is already imprisoned. The older man steps up, presenting the white-haired boy and declaring that he is the one they are looking for, the only dragon tamer in the entire Taiji nation. Shocked, the boy realizes they are seeking a dragon tamer and wonders why. The skeletal dragon towers menacingly, its crimson eyes locking onto the white-haired boy. He freezes, unable to move, admitting to himself that he can't even muster the will to resist. Determined, he gathers his thoughts and realizes he must escape. He watches carefully, waiting for the right moment to make his move. His eyes sharpen with resolve. Gritting his teeth, he seizes the opportunity and shouts to himself that the time is now. With explosive force, he breaks free from his restraints, his body surging with energy as he charges forward, leaving his captors stunned. As chaos erupts, the white-haired boy grabs the girl and shouts for her to run, trying to shield her from the monstrous attack. The skeletal beast strikes with overwhelming force, its energy blasting through everything in its path. The boy pushes forward with determination, his body glowing with power as he tries to break free from the encroaching destruction. The girl is thrown off balance, her eyes wide with fear as she reaches out, terrified by the sudden surge of power surrounding them. The ground shakes violently, sending guards and the older man stumbling back in fear as the dragon's power surges. The skeletal dragon glares down, declaring that the captive before it is nothing more than a lowly sub-dragon species, unworthy of being called a true dragon. With a violent strike, its tail pierces the ground, blood splattering as it rejects the offering, claiming this is not the one it seeks. Rising above the destruction, the dragon roars in fury, vowing that the true person it searches for must appear, or the entire area will be annihilated. Amidst the chaos, the guards panic and shout that they are retreating, dragging Lord Liu away from the collapsing battlefield. On the ground, the white-haired boy struggles to move, his body weak as he forces himself to rise despite the crushing pressure. The girl cries out his name, Chen Tianji, her voice filled with desperation as she reaches toward him. Overhead, skeletal dragons descend with terrifying force. Gritting his teeth, Chen Tianji yells for someone to get him out of there before it's too late. The white-haired boy looks up in frustration, questioning why, even though both he and another are dragon tamers, he is the only one left broken in this state. His anger burns as he calls himself useless, unable to accept his current weakness compared to the other. He grits his teeth, his thoughts circling back to the one person who always seems to overshadow him. With a heavy voice, he mutters in disbelief, wondering if it could really be him again, Lu Fan. The girl freezes in place as the monstrous beast lunges forward with its gaping jaws. She clenches her fists tightly, bracing for impact, but the overwhelming pressure makes her body tremble. Nearby, another person notices the sudden shift. Sweat rolls down their face as they squint in confusion, clearly sensing something unusual happening. In the next moment, a violent burst of purple energy erupts. The power surges wildly, wrapping around the figure who steps forward, unleashing a force strong enough to shake the ground. The massive creature roars in fury, its body igniting with dark flames. With a menacing glare, it spreads its claws wide, while the glowing figure confronts it without hesitation. The restrained man trembles, shouting desperately as he reveals a name: Lu Fan, a student of Dragon City Academy. He insists that at this time, Lu Fan should either be at school or at home. The monstrous figure listens with a sinister laugh, its burning eyes filled with malice. It acknowledges the information and orders to be taken directly to him. The man cries out in agony as the dark energy around him tightens, draining his strength further. Suddenly, he is hurled violently into the ground, crashing with a powerful impact that shatters the earth beneath him. The dark creature looms over the man, declaring that it will grant him the power of the ancient gods. The offer radiates with ominous energy. A voice warns him of the danger, showing the corpse of another who had once accepted such power. The warning is clear: acceptance means sharing the same fate. Despite the risk, the man clenches his fists and demands strength, willing to take any power necessary to kill his target. With determination burning in his eyes, he shouts his promise, vowing to use this power no matter the cost. The monstrous being forms a sphere of dark energy, sensing the man's hatred and desperation as proof of his resolve. The sphere is unleashed, surging toward him with overwhelming force, engulfing his entire body in a torrent of violet flames. The man screams in agony as the power tears into him, burning through his veins like fire. His eyes widen in shock, glowing faintly as the corrupt energy seeps deeper, changing him from within. The man's body convulses as the corrupt energy spreads further, his form trembling violently under the immense pressure. A massive explosion of purple light erupts, shaking the ground as the energy consumes the surrounding area. The blast continues to expand, splitting rocks and shattering the earth in a storm of destructive force. From within the blinding light, a new figure emerges, armored and engulfed in dark flames, roaring as its transformation is complete. The man rises in a transformed state, clad in skeletal armor, his power skyrocketing to level 110. He realizes this strength is the gift of the ancient gods. The dark entity declares its control, warning that his life now depends on its will. If he fails to find the one it seeks, his death will come as easily as a flick of its hand. With glowing eyes, the man kneels in gratitude, thanking the being for granting him new life. He swears loyalty and promises to lead it directly to Lu Fan. Watching in shock, another person realizes the truth: the man has become favored by the ancient god, and the situation has grown far more dangerous. The girl watches in shock, realizing she once ordered him around so casually. Now, with his terrifying new strength, she fears he will kill her. Dark energy surges around his body as the transformation completes, his voice echoing that from this day forward, everything has changed. Clad in skeletal armor, he declares himself the strongest in the world, vowing that no one will ever dare look down on him again. Another man approaches cautiously, demanding to know what he had said to the ancient god that led to this overwhelming transformation. Confusion spreads among the group as the beast tide suddenly vanishes. An elder demands an explanation for why it disappeared so abruptly. The man calmly reveals that he promised to help the ancient god achieve its goal. By entering into a contract, the being has merged with him, resolving the crisis of Taxi State. Shocked, the elder presses further, asking if this means he can now wield the power of the ancient god. The man confirms it without hesitation. Alarmed, the elder warns him that the ancient god nearly destroyed Taxi Kingdom. Since its power now resides in his body, he cannot be allowed to leave and must remain under watch. The young man confronts the elder head-on, questioning if he alone is worthy enough to stand in his way. Blue energy surges around him as he charges forward, declaring that it's time to settle their debt once and for all. The elder shouts angrily, calling him arrogant, but the young man doesn't falter and pushes through the counterattack. With unwavering resolve, he advances fearlessly, demanding to know who dares try and stop him now. A masked man steps forward, introducing himself as a member of the Tan family, claiming responsibility for assisting Lord Liu. His sudden appearance shocks those around him. Whispers spread in disbelief. The Tan family was thought to have vanished 100 years ago, yet it seems they have been hiding in the shadows, still pulling strings from the top. The masked man admits he is merely a mouthpiece for the Tan family. He tempts the young man with an offer to follow them and allow the family to study the power of the ancient gods in exchange for the throne of Taxi Kingdom. The young man scoffs at the proposal. Angered, the masked figure calls him ungrateful, warning that refusal comes with a price, and crimson energy begins to swirl menacingly around him. The masked man lunges with crimson energy, declaring that the power within his opponent will belong to the Tan family. However, his expression twists in shock as he is suddenly struck, blood spraying from his body. The young man counters with overwhelming force, piercing through the attack and lifting the masked figure into the air. Staggering, the masked man gasps in disbelief, unable to comprehend how he was defeated so easily. The elder looks on in disbelief as the masked warrior is struck down instantly, blood spilling from his body. The girl is shocked, realizing that a level 100 warrior was killed with a single blow. The young man glares coldly, mocking the Tan family's so-called strength. He calls them mere ants, unworthy of being labeled powerful. Holding the glowing energy in his palm, he marvels at the sensation, realizing how incredible it feels to truly possess such overwhelming power. Standing over the fallen bodies, the young man declares the Tan family finished, their people all dead. He then turns his fury toward the next target. He reminds the elder of the Jin family's downfall, the imprisonment, and the torment he endured, accusing him of offering others as sacrifices to the ancient gods. Terrified, the elder protests desperately, claiming it was never his doing but the Tan family's orders. He insists he is only a mouthpiece, begging to be spared. Unmoved, the young man summons a colossal skeletal hand of energy, reaching toward the elder as he demands to know what fate should befall him next. The old man's face twists in fear as he realizes his fate. Trembling, he blurts out that without his involvement, Chen Tianji would never have gained this power. Desperate to survive, he pleads for mercy, promising to never interfere again if only his life is spared. But Chen does not hesitate. His strike descends with unstoppable might, tearing through the ground as a surge of energy explodes outward. The scene shatters under his power, leaving no chance for escape. The soldiers watch in horror as the dust clears. Their voices crack with fear, shouting that their lord has fallen. Panic spreads instantly, and their faces show nothing but despair. Amid the chaos, Chen stands firm. His white hair flows with the rising energy, and his red eyes pierce through the battlefield. The cries of fear echo around him, but his expression remains cold and unshaken. The battlefield falls silent as Chen Tianji stands tall, his weapon glowing with power. Before him, a terrified woman collapses to the ground, her eyes wide with fear. She bows deeply, her voice trembling. She admits her mistakes, begging for forgiveness, pleading desperately for Chen to let her live. His silence makes the moment heavier, his presence alone crushing her hope. But mercy never comes. In an instant, she is struck down, her body flung back with lifeless eyes staring into the void. Chen rises high into the air, his weapon crackling with destructive energy. With a swift motion, he prepares his next devastating strike, the storm around him spiraling out of control. As the storm clears, the woman slowly rises, staring at the sky in silence. A dark shadow passes overhead, wings slicing through the clouds, leaving her lost in thought. The scene shifts to Zhanghai City that afternoon. A car speeds down the road, carrying new stories with it. Inside, voices break the quiet. A cheerful man greets Lu Fan warmly, saying it has been a long time and praising how much he has grown. He recalls never missing any of Lu Fan's matches, boasting about how he crushed players and collected legendary dragons. His laughter fills the space as he expresses admiration. Lu Fan responds with a smile, thanking him for the kind words. He then adds that the first time he cleared a secret realm, it was this very man who led the team. Meeting him again feels like reconnecting with someone familiar. Two women share a lighthearted moment. One invites Jianing to live with her in Zhongshan Garden, but another calmly reminds her that the place was only a prize and never truly their home. The mood shifts as another girl sighs. She admits she hasn't seen her parents in a long time, wondering if they miss her, while her companion scolds her playfully for being heartless, saying she even planned a feast to welcome her. Meanwhile, the car radio breaks the chatter with breaking news. The large-scale beast tide crisis in Taiki country has finally been declared settled. A somber note follows. Lord Liu died heroically, sacrificing himself to protect the people. Shock spreads through the group. One girl leans forward in disbelief, asking if it's really over. With a disappointed frown, she adds that she expected the beast tide to be catastrophic enough to destroy the country. Inside the car, a woman remarks that the rulers of Taiki country change too often, calling the land unlucky. Lu Fan gazes out the window, lost in thought. He wonders if he might have triggered some kind of curse. He reflects that even a wave of beasts could destroy a country, and Taiki wouldn't stand a chance. His expression sharpens as he recalls what his senior once said, that a powerful 5th-level expert was secretly hiding within Taiki. The car finally slows to a stop in front of the Qin family villa. The driver announces warmly that they have arrived home. Excitement fills the car as one of the girls exclaims she has spotted her father and Uncle Tao waiting ahead. Outside the villa, several figures stand warmly at the entrance, their smiles showing anticipation as they wait for the family's arrival. The girl rushes forward with tears of joy, calling out to her father. He opens his arms with a gentle smile, welcoming her back as his beloved daughter. Emotions overflow as he pats her head, remarking how much she has changed in just 6 months, almost to the point of being unrecognizable. She blushes, protesting playfully, while the family embraces in heartfelt reunion. At the villa entrance, Qin Shankai greets Lu Fan and Miss Han warmly, saying it's been a long time since they last met. With a polite smile, he apologizes for the trouble of arranging Mr. Qin's special car to pick them up. Qin Shankai brushes it off casually, calling it a minor matter. He then introduces Uncle Taoshan, the father of Taozi, standing proudly among the welcoming group. Uncle Tao is revealed to be the richest man in Shanghai City, holding a monopoly over its properties and resources. Despite the praise, he laughs it off, insisting it's just an exaggeration, though his reputation speaks otherwise. Lu Fan steps forward respectfully, greeting Uncle Tao with a firm handshake. The older man smiles broadly, calling him a truly talented young man, while admiration fills the atmosphere. Uncle Tao shakes Lu Fan's hand, proudly saying he's heard how much care his daughter has received under his guidance. Embarrassed, the girl protests and begs her father to stop talking. Qin Shankai laughs, saying he never imagined Lu Fan could raise Xiaokyu to level 40, while Uncle Tao adds that he even helped his own daughter achieve a hidden class. They both express gratitude, calling it a great favor to their families. Lu Fan humbly replies that they flatter him, insisting they should simply help one another. Later, the girl pulls Lu Fan aside with a frown. She warns him not to think she always praises him in front of her father, claiming it was just a few casual remarks. Lu Fan only smiles and nods, telling her he understands. Watching from nearby, her parents comment softly that she is simply too concerned with his reputation, advising her not to be so blunt in the future. The playful tension draws surprised glances from those around. As the evening settles, Qin Shankai suggests it's time for everyone to rest after the long journey. He announces that tomorrow morning, he and Tao Shan will host a dinner for the whole family. Uncle Tao enthusiastically insists that Lu Fan must join them, saying his presence would be an honor. Smiling, Lu Fan assures them he'll definitely come. Lu Fan waves as he prepares to leave, calling out that they'll see each other tomorrow. The women beside him follow, while the others watch them depart. Before leaving, Qin Shankai turns to the steward and requests that they be escorted back to Zhongshan Garden. With a respectful nod, the steward agrees. The group waves farewell as the car departs, leaving the villa behind under the warm evening light. One of the daughters smiles at her father, thanking him for being considerate of her friends. He chuckles, reminding her not to call him slow anymore. The city lights flash by as the car speeds through the streets. Inside, someone apologizes to Jianing for not introducing her sooner, but she gently replies that it's fine, she's still new to this place anyway. Sitting together in the back seat, the two women reassure her. They promise to show her around once they've settled in, telling her she'll get used to everything little by little. As they ride in the car, the steward mentions that Zhongshan Garden was cleaned up in less than 2 days. Lu Fan looks surprised at the news. The steward explains further Mr. Qin has people maintain and clean Zhongshan Garden every week. He reminds them to keep their luggage ready for check-in at any time. The car soon arrives at the grand estate. Excitement fills the air as they announce this will be their new home. Jianing stares in awe, impressed by the sight. The next morning, at Zhanghai's new City Star Hotel, Lu Fan sits quietly. With a heavy sigh, he reflects on his choices, admitting he had been careless and agreed to something yesterday without truly thinking it through. At the banquet table, Uncle Tao suddenly suggests that Xiao Lu and his daughter Taozi are a perfect match. Qin Shankai quickly counters, insisting that his own daughter Xiaoqiu is more beautiful, intelligent, and suitable. The tension leaves Lu Fan bewildered, wondering how things ended up like this. Uncle Tao presses on, praising Taozi's liveliness and how it balances Lu Fan's steadiness. He raises a toast, asking if Lu Fan agrees, leaving him awkwardly stammering a polite response. Qin Shankai interjects, pointing out how Lu Fan treats Xiaoqiu with far more gentleness, while Uncle Tao continues to push his case. Lu Fan can only smile uncomfortably as the pressure mounts. Uncle Tao stands by his daughter proudly, declaring that Taozi's carefree nature is proof of her good heart and pure attitude, someone who would never scheme against others. As the families argue, the atmosphere grows even heavier. The tension at the table rises further when Qin Shankai calls out Uncle Tao, asking what he's really trying to say. With a firm voice, he declares that his daughter Xiaoqiu has long admired Lu Fan, and as childhood sweethearts, their marriage is destined in the future. Xiaoqiu, flustered and embarrassed, covers her face, pleading with her father to stop speaking. At the table, two uncles start bickering, both insisting that Xiao Lu will eventually become part of their family. Their playful argument grows heated, and the young man quickly tries to ease the tension, asking them to calm down before it escalates further. On the other side, two women watch with amusement. One laughs warmly, saying how happy Xiao often must be, while the other hides a smile as she quietly serves food. Their relaxed demeanor contrasts sharply with the uncle's competitive banter. Amid the lively chatter, a hand sets down a bowl on the table, the simple motion cutting through the noise and drawing attention back to the meal. The atmosphere shifts, bringing a brief pause to the playful quarrel. The uncles, flushed from the drinks, lock eyes in silence. Both faces turn serious, their earlier laughter giving way to quiet rivalry, leaving the room heavy with unspoken tension. The elegant woman wipes her lips gently, drawing attention with her calm demeanor. A thought rises: this mysterious beauty, living with Jian Ying and Lu Fan, could she be a hidden competitor? Meanwhile, the two uncles realize the situation is more complicated than they expected. With so many rivals, they reluctantly agree to call a truce, knowing the competition is far from over. After the banquet, the group strolls through Zhongshan Garden. One of them asks Xiaofen to slow down, noticing his unusual hurry. They wonder if his pace is because of the comments made earlier at the table, teasing that he might actually be pleased. Embarrassed, Xiaofen brushes it off, asking them to drop the subject. Lu Fan is greeted by an unexpected voice. A classmate warmly says it has been a long time since they last met. To his surprise, it's Dean Bai and Teacher Lai. They joke that they were worried he might forget them, but quickly reassure each other that Lu Fan, the top student of No. 3 middle school, would never forget his roots. Back at Zhongshan Garden, Lu Fan's aunt welcomes them into the living room. He hadn't expected such important guests to visit, but he listens as they explain the reason for their arrival. Dean Bai speaks about the upcoming transfer ceremony, hoping that students from their school can inspire the younger generation. Though Lu Fan realizes they want him to serve as a symbol of pride, he agrees out of respect for the kindness they've always shown him. Lu Fan sets a condition: his upcoming speech must be brief, as he needs to focus on reaching level 60 and completing his third job within 2 months. The teachers are astonished, noting that most graduates only reach level 30. Lu Fan politely thanks them for their praise, but reminds them to keep his goal a secret. They reassure him with laughter, promising confidentiality. As they part ways, Lu Fan promises to see them again at school No. 3 in 3 days. None of them expected such determination from him, leaving a strong impression. The next morning, Lu Fan's phone vibrates, showing a call from Wang Tai. Still half asleep, Lu Fan answers. On the other end, Wang Tai exclaims, shocked that Lu Fan had hidden something so important, scolding him for being too polite. Still half awake, Lu Fan listens as Uncle Qin tells him not to worry, only to use something once he receives it later. Confused, Lu Fan questions what exactly he is supposed to receive. Before he can think further, the call ends, leaving him puzzled. Almost immediately, his phone rings again. This time, it's Uncle Qin once more. Answering in irritation, Lu Fan asks why he's calling so early. Uncle Qin explains that experience crystals will soon be delivered, assuring him not to stress about upgrading since the Qin family will provide support. Lu Fan thinks about the experience crystals, realizing they're costly and provide only a small amount of experience compared to clearing secret realms. Still, he listens carefully as the explanation continues. He suddenly asks if both Uncle Qin and Uncle Tao know about his leveling. On the other side, the reply confirms it, leaving him momentarily speechless. Uncle Qin quickly adds that Tao Shan got ahead of him, urging Lu Fan not to waste time and to prepare for what's coming. The call ends abruptly. Annoyed yet thoughtful, Lu Fan reaches to switch something on, the sound breaking the morning silence. A delivery man arrives, announcing he has 2 large pieces of crystal for Lu Fan to sign. The crates shine brightly, filled with glowing crystals. Lu Fan realizes the news of his leveling plans must have spread quickly, joking that his old school clearly wasn't a place that kept secrets. It turns out both Uncle Qin and Uncle Tao had rushed to buy every experience crystal available in the city and sent them directly to him. Although grateful, Lu Fan knows he cannot accept them for free. Aware that their generosity is tied to hopes of connecting him with their daughters, he instead gives back the Bahinia card, treating the crystals as if he had purchased them himself. In the following days, Lu Fan continuously used the experience crystals while his companions battled monsters, pushing their training further. At the same time, they returned to Shadow Island to clear the newly refreshed monsters. With every fight, Lu Fan's strength grew, his level climbing to 53. Finally, just before speech day, he absorbed the last of the crystals. Exhausted, he collapsed to the floor, realizing the massive stockpile had only pushed him halfway. His level had increased to 65. At school No. 3, excitement filled the air. Students whispered about a big guest speaker. When they discovered it was none other than Lu Fan, the Dragon Country's rising hero and legendary dragon tamer, the crowd erupted in anticipation. Dean Bai quiets the crowd, announcing that before the transfer ceremony begins, the school has invited distinguished alumni. He proudly introduces Lu Fan, their senior, who steps forward to deliver a speech as the students greet him with warm applause. Excitement spreads through the crowd. Students cheer in amazement, chanting "Dragon Tamer" as they celebrate his return. Meanwhile, in Zhanghai City, a silver-haired figure walks the streets, observing the city's atmosphere. He compares it to Qingshu, noting it lacks the prosperity of Dragon City. The silver-haired man asks if his target is really in the city. The skeletal being beside him replies that destroying everything will surely force the target to appear. A warning follows: if the man fails, he will be buried alongside the Ankylosaurus. Success will bring him power. Accepting this, the man promises to remember the risk. The skeletal entity, called Lord Godbone, grows even more intrigued by him. It commands him to answer one last question, to which the man humbly agrees. Godbone asks if he should spare the humans of this city or unleash destruction. Its chilling words echo the fate of the city depends on his choice. The silver-haired man shows no hesitation, declaring he doesn't care about casualties. Killing more people would only draw Lu Fan out faster. Godbone bursts into laughter, pleased with the response. With excitement, it commands that the slaughter begin. A terrifying aura fills the sky. Civilians panic, confused by the sudden heat and strange phenomenon, fleeing in fear as the air grows scorching. The silver-haired man steps forward coldly, dismissing everyone around him as nothing more than ants, ordering their deaths as chaos engulfs the city. A monstrous dragon's skull looms in the sky. The enemy declares that as long as he receives more power from Godbone, nothing else matters. Dark wings spread wide as he continues, saying it no longer makes a difference who stands against him. On the ground, terrified civilians recognize the threat. Someone shouts that it's Taki, the one who has betrayed Dragon Country. The declaration follows: whether dragon race or humans, all will be crushed under his wrath. A massive skeletal dragon emerges, towering over the city with terrifying might. Its chilling roar echoes as it declares its intent: whether Jinju or Lu Fan, one of them must face it. In Zhanghai City, the ground suddenly trembles. Buildings shake and the streets are filled with confusion. People stumble, holding on to each other as they wonder if an earthquake has struck. The crowd grows restless, but one man points toward the sky, urging everyone to look up. His warning shifts their attention from the shaking ground to the dark clouds above. From the sky, terrifying winged figures begin to descend. Their overwhelming aura spreads fear as the onlookers compare them to an army one man below, 10,000 men above. The difference in strength is undeniable. Among the chaos, a young man steadies himself and looks up in shock. He realizes the threat comes from the Taki Kingdom. His expression turns grim as he acknowledges the vast power gap that separates them. A man with a sinister smile declares his ambition to rise above all men. He calls out to Lu Fan, challenging him to face the power of the ancient god. Dark winged beasts fill the sky, and panic spreads among the people. One man shouts in shock, realizing it's a prevention and control alert. The beasts swarm closer, and fear grips the crowd. Cries of terror ring out as someone warns of the approaching beast tide. An elder urgently instructs all students to evacuate to the underground shelter without delay. Amid the chaos, Lu Fan steps forward with determination. His body surges with energy as he prepares to face the overwhelming threat head-on. A skeletal dragon looms in front of Lu Fan. Shock fills him as he realizes this ancient enemy has been resurrected, something he never expected to happen. Meanwhile, riders on griffins rush into the sky, preparing to confront the bone god. Onlookers question whether they truly intend to fight such a powerful foe. One of the riders shouts for speed, determined to stop the beast before it reaches residential areas. A commanding voice urges citizens to evacuate to the shelters quickly and not interfere with the defense forces. As the Griffin Knights soar past, Lu Fan calls out, asking them to wait for a moment. He reveals a golden emblem in his hand, the Griffin's gold emblem. His serious tone shifts to apology, acknowledging the authority it represents as the knights recognize it with surprise. Lu Fan instructs the Griffin Riders to evacuate the citizens. He orders them to spread out and act separately to avoid being easy targets. The knights quickly agree and move to follow his instructions. As he considers the situation, Lu Fan notes that summoning the Nine Realms demon would be too dangerous, affecting too many people. Instead, he decides it's better for the puppet team to attack the enemy in separate groups. Speaking through a communicator, he tells Dean Bai to stay hidden until the beast tide subsides. The elder acknowledges his message and warns Lu Fan to be careful. High above, the clone of the bone god appears, its skeletal form radiating menace. Lu Fan realizes it has formed a new body so quickly and even managed to find its way here. Xiao Fei bursts forth, her body glowing with green energy as she roars in fury, calling the situation unforgivable. Responding to Lu Fan's command, she summons the corrupted Holy Dragon. The massive beast materializes with radiant power, shaking the battlefield. Even Xiao Fei winces from the strain of summoning such a creature, showing the immense energy it demands. A deafening roar echoes as the dragon emerges fully, its power radiating across the sky and shaking the city below. Lu Fan gives a calm but firm order to deploy the puppet team to clear the god bone dragon, but ensure the fight's scope is contained to minimize destruction. His focus remains on controlling the chaos. Lu Fan summons his puppet team, a group of powerful figures cloaked in dark energy. They respond in unison, acknowledging his command with absolute loyalty. He gives the order to spread out, directing them to divide their strength and surround the enemy from multiple sides. His voice carries determination as the battle intensifies. The puppets launch into action, scattering across the sky and striking at the bone god's forces with coordinated precision. The colossal bone god looms above, its presence far more oppressive than before. Multiple spheres of energy swirl around it, and Lu Fan realizes with dread that this time, the true body of the ancient bone god has arrived. A fierce clash erupts as summoned beasts and puppets strike against the enemy, their roars shaking the battlefield. The impact leaves even the powerful creatures groaning in pain. Lu Fan stands firm with Xiao Fei and his allies by his side. Holding the small dragon spirit, he declares that no matter if the opponent is the real body or not, Zhanghai City must not fall today. His summons gather, mighty beasts and warriors forming ranks behind him. With determination, he commands them to follow him into battle. Charging forward, Lu Fan unleashes his power head-on, his focus sharp as he prepares to confront the bone god's overwhelming force. A sudden strike from above forces Lu Fan into a fierce clash. The overwhelming presence of his opponent shocks him as the battle escalates in midair. Recognizing the face before him, Lu Fan is stunned. He shouts the name Chen Tianji, unable to believe what he sees. Chen Tianji smirks with arrogance, greeting Lu Fan as an old friend he hasn't seen in a long time. His confident demeanor shows no hesitation. Behind him, the massive bone god looms, its dark aura filling the sky. Chen Tianji reveals he conquered 4 cities just to track Lu Fan down, proving the lengths he went to for this confrontation. Lu Fan charges forward, his weapon blazing with fiery power. He accuses Chen Tianji of being the one behind the beast tide that ravaged Taiki country. Their weapons clash violently in midair as Lu Fan demands to know if Chen Tianji has gone mad. Chen Tianji laughs wildly, declaring that he cannot lose his mind until he kills Lu Fan. His twisted grin reveals his obsession with the fight. With a surge of dark energy, Chen Tianji announces that the real body of the ancient bone god has arrived. He proclaims that Lu Fan and Zhanghai City will be buried together in its destruction. Chen Tianji stands shrouded in the bone god's dark aura, declaring that he once vowed to return and destroy everything. Now, he demands repayment 100-fold. Lu Fan confronts him, reminding Tianji of the dragon country blood in his veins. No matter their conflicts, he argues, killing innocent people should never be the answer. Tianji laughs bitterly, recalling how he was once reclassified into the weakest class, mocked and treated as less than human. But with the bone god's power now coursing through him, he proclaims that no one can ever look down on him again. His expression twists with hatred as he admits he thinks of Lu Fan constantly. He remembers the humiliation, the destruction of the Jin family who once supported him, and snarls that all he's ever wanted is to kill Lu Fan. Lu Fan steadies himself, questioning if Chen Tianji has truly become a slave to the ancient bone god. He warns that Tianji has chosen the wrong path, insisting his goal was always to make him realize the truth. Tianji snaps back angrily, claiming Lu Fan isn't worthy of the privileges of a dragon tamer. His fury rises as he accuses Lu Fan of enjoying those benefits while looking down on him. The two clash in a violent strike, Tianji shouting that he was belittled all along. Their weapons crash together, filling the battlefield with explosive energy. In response, Lu Fan calls out to Xiao Fei, commanding her to unfold the dragon domain emerald mirror, preparing to counter Tianji's overwhelming assault. A majestic emerald dragon manifests, its body radiating with divine light. The overwhelming aura signals the unfolding of the dragon domain. The eye of the domain opens, its power rewriting the battlefield. Allies within the domain gain enhanced strength, while enemies suffer weakened attributes and suppressed abilities. The emerald mirror activates, casting a protective radiance. Its power reduces the effectiveness of enemy skills, cutting their strength in half while boosting allies' resistance. As the dragon spreads its wings, the sky trembles. The sudden surge of power leaves even the enemy shocked, unable to comprehend the force that now dominates the battlefield. Lu Fan's expression hardens as he realizes something is wrong. Despite calling forth the dragon domain and the emerald mirror, the abilities fail to activate. Frustration flashes across his face. He questions why such crucial techniques are suddenly unusable in this critical moment, leaving him at a dangerous disadvantage against his enemy. In Zhanghai City, a dark and ominous aura spreads as the skeletal being emerges once more. Its hollow voice echoes with sinister laughter, declaring that it will not be deceived by the same trick again. The bone god raises its head, eyes blazing with crimson light. With chilling arrogance, it proclaims that this time, it will relish every step of its opponent's struggle, feeding on their despair as if it were a feast. Unfazed, the hero charges forward, diving through the air with unshakable resolve. He responds with defiance, vowing that they will see who truly falls into despair in the end. Before the clash can reach its peak, another figure bursts in, sword gleaming with deadly intent. Laughing confidently, he declares to the bone god that he will handle the fight himself, aiming his blade straight at the hero. With a sinister smile, the enemy mocks the hero, saying he dares to challenge the bone god. The bone god's massive form radiates with dark energy as it calls the hero ignorant, revealing its terrifying power as a level 110 god bone dragon tamer. The hero, gripping his blazing weapon tightly, is shocked at this revelation. He realizes that his opponent has truly pledged allegiance to the ancient gods, a loyalty that grants him unimaginable strength. For a moment, the hero's expression hardens, aware of the overwhelming difference in power, but his determination refuses to waver. The bone god unleashes a devastating attack, summoning fiery destruction across the battlefield. The sheer force shakes the sky as his power manifests in overwhelming waves. The hero counters with a powerful strike, but the bone god's strength dwarfs his efforts. The enemy's mastery of forbidden dragon language magic sends crushing pressure across the arena, as though the heavens themselves were collapsing. With arrogant disdain, the bone god mocks his opponent, claiming that even the might of the dragon clan cannot compare to the power of a god. A divine barrier shrouds him, absorbing nearly all the damage dealt. The hero's eyes widen in disbelief. Even with all the dragons attacking at once, the shield remains unbroken. Shock and urgency flash across his face as he realizes the terrifying gap between their powers. The armored foe lunges at Lu Fan with terrifying speed, mocking him for worrying about his dragon when his true opponent stands before him. Lu Fan realizes the danger, recognizing both the ancient bone god and Chen Tianji, the level 110 bone slave. Their combined strength has grown immensely. His attacks prove useless, as Chen Tianji's resilience is on a completely different level compared to the previous god slaves. With cruel laughter, Chen Tianji declares he is no longer the weak person Lu Fan once knew. Empowered by the ancient god, he boasts that Lu Fan is nothing before such overwhelming power. Chen Tianji, riding the bone god, unleashes his full might. He laughs as he prepares to demonstrate god-level skills far beyond Lu Fan's reach, each technique radiating overwhelming destructive power. Lu Fan feels the crushing pressure and realizes that Tianji's strength has risen even further. Calling out to Xiaoi, he urges that they must find a way to resist this impossible power. Emerald energy surges as Xiaoi, the loyal companion, spreads its glowing wings, preparing to answer Lu Fan's desperate call. Mounted on Xiaofei, Lu Fan commands his dragon to merge with him. With determination burning in his eyes, he prepares for a counterattack, ready to push back against the god-level might before him. The bone god charges forward with terrifying force, declaring that Lu Fan will experience the crushing weight of despair firsthand. Lu Fan braces himself, blocking the devastating strike with his blazing weapon. The impact shakes him to the core as the bone god taunts him with the feeling of being utterly crushed. Despite the overwhelming pressure, Lu Fan steadies himself and refuses to give in. Blood trickles down, but he shouts for his allies to continue attacking the ancient god of divine bone without hesitation. Above, divine beasts unleash a coordinated assault, raining down destructive power from the skies. Yet the bone god endures, its massive frame glowing with unholy resilience, turning the battlefield into a clash of heaven-shaking forces. The bone god roars with fury, its skeletal form radiating violent energy as it charges forward with unstoppable force. The sky trembles as its assault collides with Lu Fan's counterattack, shattering the heavens in a clash of overwhelming power. Infuriated, the bone god howls that it has had enough, unleashing its rage against the so-called bugs that dare to oppose it. With a bone-crushing strike, it seizes a dragon in its claws, squeezing down mercilessly as Lu Fan and his companions struggle under the weight of its monstrous strength. The bone god radiates a terrifying aura, slipping into a hidden state that makes it nearly impossible to detect or harm. Its presence dominates the battlefield. In an instant, it launches a devastating strike, tearing through the sky as allies are thrown back under its overwhelming assault. Lu Fan, mounted on Xiaofei, shouts for a bow to protect itself as the chaos intensifies. The battlefield shakes with clashing roars and blazing energy. Meanwhile, a dragon knight channels searing flames into his blade, his expression filled with resolve. His power surges, preparing to turn the tide of battle against the godlike enemy. The dragon knight strikes in unison with his beast, unleashing a blazing coordinated attack. The fusion of their power creates a deadly synergy that shakes the battlefield. Xingqian and Xiaojai join the fight, responding to the command to hold their ground and not leave any openings. Their combined efforts amplify the assault, targeting the bone god with precision. Energy gathers in waves as Xiaojai releases a poisonous fog domain. Enemies caught within its range are weakened continuously, their strength drained with each passing moment. The bone god, unfazed, steps forward through the haze. Its glowing eyes pierce the fog, and with cold certainty, it remarks that the resistance seems meaningless before its divine might. Lu Fan gathers all his strength, pouring everything into a desperate strike with his blazing weapon. The bone god braces against the attack, its aura surging with divine power. With jaws wide open, the monstrous dragon form roars, ready to devour its prey as the clash shakes the battlefield. Lu Fan dives in with precision, his blade igniting as he closes the distance. The sheer speed of his counterattack catches even the bone god off guard. But the enemy scoffs, dismissing the effort as nothing more than a minor trick. Its skeletal hand shatters the energy around it, displaying the vast difference in their power. The bone god transforms its arms into dragon claws infused with divine energy, striking with unstoppable might as the battlefield trembles. Lu Fan grits his teeth, shouting that now is the time to act, his eyes blazing with determination as he seizes the critical moment. Xiao Jai darts forward, shifting into the poison dragon's form, releasing a swamp domain that spreads across the battlefield. The toxic energy begins to erode the enemy's strength. The shadow dragon teleports into position, unleashing its stealth domain that strikes with precision and multiplies the damage, creating the perfect setup for a decisive blow. A mighty dragon raises its arms, summoning a storm of frozen energy that shatters into countless shards, ready to rain destruction on its enemies. The icy assault crashes down, colliding with the spreading poison swamp unleashed by Lu Fan's allies. The battlefield becomes a deadly mix of frost and venom, trapping the bone god within layers of elemental attacks. One of the dragons lets out a furious roar, its power amplified as it tears through the poisonous haze, its strength shaking the heavens. Above, Lu Fan and his companions press their attack together. With Xiao Jai, Xingchen, and Xiao Fei by his side, he drives their combined strength against the bone god, who howls as the assault closes in. A mighty dragon releases its stored energy in one devastating strike, unleashing a massive counterattack that sends the bone god reeling backward. Green corrosive energy spreads across its skeletal body, eating away at its frame as the poison domain begins to take effect. The bone god roars in fury, its chest glowing as currents of lightning surge through its form, resisting the corrosive force while preparing a retaliatory strike. From above, another dragon descends, calling down a barrage of divine lightning. Thunderous bolts rain upon the bone god, causing explosive damage that lights up the entire battlefield. A dragon wrapped in golden lightning unleashes a thunderous strike, its power surging across the battlefield with unstoppable force. The attack shatters defenses, tearing through the bone god's barrier with sheer destructive might. The bone god roars in fury, its crimson eyes blazing as purple energy erupts from its body. With a chilling voice, it curses its enemies, swearing that it will crush them all for daring to defy a god.